2 minutes. Shall I go?
Yeah, sir, please take the charge of this.
Yeah. Good evening, friends, and welcome to this webinar. Before we proceed further, I request all of you to rise for the motto.
Yaesha supteshu jagrati Yaesha supteshu jagrati Kamam 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 kamarsho Pursho nirmimanaha Tadeva shukram brahma Tada brahma Tadeva mritamuchyate Tasmin lokaha shataha Sarve taduna kaschanatyati kaschan Etadvaita 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 Etadvaita
Good evening, friends, once again, and welcome to this webinar. Friends, looking to the increasing importance of area of practice in internal audit, BCAC has specially arranged a webinar for 3 days on internal audit. We are thankful and grateful to CA Chetan Thakkar as well as our past convener Hiren Mehta for specially designing for the this particular program and webinar for the benefit of our members. Next webinar will be on 9th July, and then third will be on 16th July. Kindly note. Friends, we are privileged to have Chairman of Western India Regional Council, CA Murtuza Kachwala, with us to give us a keynote address on this particular subject. And thereafter, Chetan Bhai will take on concepts of ESG, particularly the area of ESG, which is at present, though it has been made applicable from 1st April 22 only to the top 1,000 listed companies, but it is now going to come in a big way, and definitely it will be give more opportunity to our practicing chartered accountants. So we have got Chetan Bhai with us, who will address us on concepts, trends, and role of internal auditor. I welcome Chetan Bhai.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thereafter, we have got CA KV Mukundan sir, who will be dealing with information technology, general computer controls, internal audit. Welcome, sir. Now I'll request CA Shreyas to introduce our chairman, sir, as well as both the speakers. Shreyas, please.
Thank you, Sharad Bhai. So, welcome all the panelists. So, friends, as Sharad Bhai mentioned, it is our pleasure to honor and host the chairman, sir, of WIRC today with us. CA Murtuza Kachwala, as we all know, is presently chairman of WIRC of ICI for the year 2020-23. He is a fellow chartered accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and has completed his master's in commerce. He is also qualified as a cost and management accountant, certified internal auditor, ISO 27001 lead auditor, has completed his CISA and also done diploma in information systems audit. Currently, he is serving his second term as a regional council member of the WIRC. He has held various key positions in WIRC in the past and also has served as a chairman of Kalyan Dombivli branch of WIRC, and also has served as a deputy convener of the Kalyan CPA Study Circle. Has more than 20 years of professional experience working in broad range of global public and private companies, mainly dealing in more significant business risks and controls. His experience includes business and operational risk advisory, internal audit, fraud investigations, automation, and digitalization. Currently, Murtuza sir is a managing director of Protivity Consulting and heads the risk consulting and internal audit practice of the firm. He has worked in organizations like Hinduja Group, Vodafone, AF Ferguson in past. He is a regular speaker at various forums and on variety of subjects, and also is the occasional writer in various magazines, journals, and other publications. With this brief introduction, we welcome you, sir. It's an honor to host you. Friends, then we have our next panelist with us, CA Chetan Thakkar. So Chetan Bhai has completed his fellow chartered accountancy from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Has also completed his strategic leadership program from IIM Ahmedabad. He's done his EMBA from Harvard Management Institute. Is a certified risk management professional. Is a certified internal auditor from IIA Florida, and also has done his diploma in information system audit. He has a career spanning over 25 years and has audited various large-scale listed companies, MNCs, banks like Aditya Birla Group, ONGC, L&T, ACC, Air India, New India Assurance Companies, etc. Presently, he is working with JSW Steel as an associate vice president and head group audit and risk management for steel, ports, cements, energy, and mining verticals. Is currently serving as a board of governor of IIA India Bombay chapter, and is a regular professional speaker at various institutes like ICAI, IASB, IIA, Big Fours, and B schools. He is a subject matter expert in areas of internal audit, internal controls over financial reporting, management audits, process improvements, compliances, and ERP implementations, etc. Sir, with this brief introduction, we welcome you. It's an honor to host you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And last but not the least, we have an elite panel today. So to join the panel, we have CA KV Mukundan ji. Welcome, sir. CA KV Mukundan is a Chief Assurance and Risk Executive at El Cargo Group. For more than 3 decades, he has versatile experience in manufacturing consulting with Big Fours and service industries. He is a chartered accountant from the ICAI. He has completed his CPA USA, his CISA, and his certified internal auditor as well. He was honored as Chief Minister's Fellow by the government of Madhya Pradesh for innovative suggestions in the field of accounting in the year 2002. He is member of various governing bodies in the industry and commerce. He currently holds responsibilities which include overseeing the assurance and risk functions for the El Cargo Group, mainly the El Cargo Logistics Limited, ECU Worldwide, and Gati Limited. And he also performs the role of a whistleblower for the group. Sir, with this brief introduction, we welcome you as well. It's an honor to host this panel. And Sharad Bhai, I think we will hand over the dais to Chairman sir for his keynote address. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shreyas Bhai, for the lovely introduction. Let me first thank Vishal, Javasa, Shikandar for organizing this whole program. And now I got to know that Chetan Bhai supported. So thank you, Chetan Bhai, as well. And senior and past convener, Sharad Bhai. Sharad Bhai, thank you very much for everything, and I'm sure there will be a lot of other conveners, so let us welcome and thank all the other conveners as well, and all the members, welcome all of them. Also, let me thank both the learned speakers today. Chetan Bhai is going to speak on ESG and Mukundan ji is going to speak on automation. So thank you both of you for joining us on this program today. Let me quickly, so I think we have about 7-8 minutes. So see, one important thing is according to me, every practitioner today is like under stress. Why? Because the GST audit is gone and hence the revenue is gone. Tax audit limit is going up and hence the revenue is again reducing. And the cost of resources primarily and the other cost also, rent, electricity, is going up. And I'm sure everyone who is present here, whatever we were taking home or saving 5 years back, I think that has gone down drastically by 25-30% or even half at times. मतलब अगर 5 साल पहला वही क्लाइंट वही प्रैक्टिस में 20 लाख रुपया बच्चे के घर पे लेके जाता है, आज 12 या 15 ही लेके जा रहा है. So everyone is thinking, how do we increase or bring about new revenues? And here, this is one area, I would not say internal audit, I would say the whole governance. The governance environment gives us so many opportunities for doing practice and increasing our revenues. Now, one is like writing policies and procedures for organization, creating chart of accounts. If someone wants to implement an SAP or Oracle or Microsoft Dynamics or Zoho, we can help them in implementation. We can do a pre-go live, a post-go live. We can do a user acceptance testing. So there is so many such type of opportunities where we can get involved. Now the knowledge that is required is understanding the process that is being followed by the organization. Is there a better way of doing things? If yes, suggest that and implement that. Now, one more new area of practice which is coming up in this whole area is like complete automation and digitalization. Now, with technology like robotic process automation, of course, OCR is there, but OCR is also becoming a little older. With RPA and other digitalization and automation tool, a lot of activities can be automated. So we can help in implementing that. And of course, a lot of data analytics also we can help in implementing. So these activities come into play as well. So enough and more opportunities, but I'll not even stop here. See, like a Samsung service center, they would have thousands of service centers across India. And every month they want some auditor like us to go to the service centers and do a checklist audit or a surprise audit. It can be a 2 hours audit, 6 hours audit, 1 day audit to see whether they, if it is in warranty period, is someone charging extra? Are they putting genuine parts? Are they having some other stock? Are they keeping some other product with some other company? X, Y, Z. Similarly, OYO Hotel, they want you to go and do the audit. Bata Showroom, they want you to go and do the audit. So there are so many of these type of activities. I'm not even talking about payroll processing or inventory verification or asset verification or asset register. So there are endless opportunity in the whole of governance framework. Now, one more beauty which I'm seeing in India now is with this whole startups and MSME getting the push, there are so many of the small and medium enterprises who are going for SME listing, then main board listing. Now, when you talk about listing, or even if you talk about going to a venture capital fund or PE fund or angel investor, the first thing they say is company में policy procedure है क्या? Authority metrics है क्या? कोई ERP implement किया गया? Control environment is there or not? How do you identify your risk? How do you control? So again, there are these opportunities which we have. So there is a lot of work, and I think this seminar is at the right time and really encouraged to see 151 participants. And I'm sure the registration would have been much higher. Otherwise, 5 years back, I think on Internet, 30-40 log aa gaye, so we were happy. Now today, when we do a program, we did a national conference here at WIRC, we had 500 plus people attending it. So I think people are also interested. So let us do this lot more. Now, let me touch upon one important aspect again. When we talk about internal audit, and I'm seeing the 6 speakers on the 3 days, and I'm looking at, they're going to cover a lot of stuff. So the first is risk-based IA plan. Now, when we talk about risk-based IA plan, I think it will differ industry by industry. Whether it is manufacturing, then identifying what is the audit universe, what is auditable in a manufacturing company, or what is auditable in a bank, or what is auditable in a telecom company, depending on the client. Then in this audit universe, identifying which process or sub-process is high risk, medium risk, or low risk. So what to audit in the limited resources that you have, that is one part. While doing this risk-based IA plan, there are so many tools or databases which are available, which tells you like in a certain industry, in a certain process, what could be the risk and what will be the impact and what is the likelihood of happening. It gives you that. It also gives you social intelligence factors, so you can pick them up and you can even put the metrics in place and you can decide which is high, medium, and low. When you go to the whole of planning, in planning, sampling, analytics, there are tools on analytics, but we as a starter can start with idea tool. And ICI has signed a contract with idea at Kachwala, Canada, the parent. And a CA form with form registration number can get the tool software for as low as 50,000 rupees one time and 10,000 rupees yearly renewal fees. We can use idea, we can use macros, we can use VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP. We can, if we want, we can start coding ourselves in SQL and Python. And at WIRC, we are even conducting a course for members, 60 hours, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, teaching on Python and SQL at 9,000 rupees. Now, once the analytics is done, samples are decided. Now, reports can be extracted using an RPA bot. They can be put into a folder. If you have queries, queries can run. They can give you exception report. Then we go and do the audit. On the basis of exception report of Power BI or Tableau, can even do a lot of presentations. And at WIRC, we are even doing a course on Power BI and Tableau. 40 hours, Saturday, Sunday, 6,000 rupees fee. And friends, earlier, the internal report used to be in Word, lengthy. Do page mein ek observation. Then people moved to PowerPoint, one slide for one observation. Now, we are going to so many board meetings with live database and with a PowerPoint, Tableau, maybe dashboard. And we tell the board members like more than 1 crore purchase from so many vendors. The board says more than 80 lakhs kidhar hai. So drag karke drop kiya, so you can say, sir, more than 80 lakhs are so many. So drag, drop, keep on changing, keep on showing. You say so much purchase of so and so item. He says, okay, which is a high value vendor. Tuck and you show it. So now it is becoming dynamic dashboard. So there is so much more which is happening, and I can keep on and on. I can keep on talking, but I'm saying use of RPA, use of analytics is going to be the way forward in Internoid. The way we are doing Internoid is changing drastically. And if we adopt the technology, I think we will be the best in class, and India is taking the lead. And at WIRC also, we are trying to do as much as possible. Last 3 years, we did Internoid Conclave. This year, we did a national conference. We are doing refresher courses. We're doing so many seminars jointly with IIA Bombay chapter also, Bombay Chartered Accountant Society also. And now our study circle like Borivali also picking up, so many branches picking up. So really lot of action, and I'm sure there will be lots of opportunities for members as well. And we are not even going into the IT audits or the forensic audit, etc. So there is so much more which is happening. With that, friends, let me stop here. And but what I can do is, I'm sure like in this time it was not possible, but maybe one of the days I can also speak for an hour or half an hour and talk to you about the next generation internal audit methodology. So I have designed something where I'm saying at each stage, from planning to processes to report writing, what are the various tools which we can adopt and how do we do audit in future. So I can take that for maybe an hour or so whenever, and definitely looking forward to add value there. This is my knowledge and also learn from everyone. So thank you very much for inviting me, and over to you, Vishal Bhai. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a valuable time. Sharad Bhai, please. You are on mute, Sharad Bhai.
Thanks a lot, Chairman sir, for throwing light on the subject. And I know it is a core subject near to your heart. So, and definitely we'll be looking for you to present one day, and we will be happy to hear many more things from you.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot, sir. And I know you have to leave and you got other meeting. So once again, we are thankful for sparing your time, especially on this evening. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Now I request CA Chetan Bhai to take it forward. Chetan bhai, please.
Thank you, Sharad bhai. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, fine. First of all, good afternoon to one and all. At the outset, my special thanks to Abhay bhai Mehta, who had given me this opportunity to speak before all of you. My thanks to Sharad bhai, Hiren bhai, Vishal bhai, Vasa bhai, Sikandar, Shreyas, and all other core team members at BCSC. I'm happy to have an excellent speech by Murtuza ji, who set the tone for today evening. We welcome again, sir, Murtuza sir. And friends, as Murtuza has rightly said, nowadays the conventional practice is going down over the years. Now we discussed GST audits is going away, tax audits limits are increasing. So the source of conventional, the traditional area of practice is getting sink. So I'm going to take up the audit ESG, which is one of the most non-conventional happening and the buzzword globally, not only in India. And I will not get into the very high level of discussion on this, since I am presenting very first time. I will talk to the basic concepts. So I'm sure next 1 hour by 5:30, everybody who is attending my session virtually will well aware about the concepts of ESG reporting, the global framework, Indian framework, what are the different trends, a kind of investment, and what is our role as an assurance, as an advisor, and as a risk manager. So friends, I'll just upload, just allow me a second time, I will upload my presentation, please. Yeah, is the presentation visible, Vishal bhai?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, friend. So friends, before we talk, this is the buzzword. Some people talk sustainability reporting, some people talk climate change, and the fancy word which come all across the global, which is popularly known as ESG. Before we start, there are three set of people who are talking tall on ESG. So this is the buzzword. It's the first set of people are investor group. I will come to you and I'll appraise you the kind of investment in ESG, which I'm sure it will shock most of you. The second set of people who talk tall on this is a regulator. In India, SEBI and other places, there are various regulators across the globe. And third set of people who are a public at large and socialist, who are demanding more and more on ESG. So friends, before I talk about the concept, let's take a quick check. Where do ESG funds stand as of today? Friends, as per the latest data, what I gathered, the currently ESG focus investment globally as a percent to AUM is 40 trillion USD. Yes, friends, you heard it right. It's 40 trillion USD, which is in Indian rupee 3,200 trillion. So that is the size of the investment globally as of now. And India is almost 11 to 12 trillion as of now, and wanted aiming at by 2030, 20 trillion. And the highest investment, if you take it globally, Australia is standing, Canada is on the higher side. Still, as a India, our investment in ESG funds are lower. But way forward, it's going to be 20 trillion by 2030. However, as per the data, the sustainability on index, India is currently standing at 120 position globally as of out of 193 countries across the globe. So friends, this is the subject we are talking, the kind of investment globally is making into this investment. The subject is very, very important. I will take you through to the very basics on that. So globally, the roots of ESG was founded somewhere in 2006 by United Nations, which is popularly known as the principle of responsible investment. And the momentum has taken care in precisely January 2016, whereby 193 UN members came together and they worked on, which is called as SDG, Sustainable Development Goal, which basically talked about poverty, which talks about hunger, which talked about education, which talks about infrastructure, which talk about climate action, which talk about clean energy, which talks about sustainability. So they have almost 17 topic sustainable goal which talked about, and all across all 193 countries came together in US just with the objective so that the world become more prosperous, more inclusive, more sustainable, and more resilient. That's where the roots of the ESG started with. And now, friends, let me take through in India. This is specific to India, how evolvement, how evolved of ESG subject in India. If you go back in 2009, CSR was introduced through National Voluntary Guidelines in 2009. In 2014, same was made it mandatory. In 2012, we all know the business responsibility report. As per the SEBI circular, it was applicable to the 100 listed companies by market cap. Eventually, in 2015, the number of mandate has happened from 100 to 500. And in 2019, the number of listed 1,000 companies needs to report their business responsibility report along with the annual report. In 2017, integrated reporting has been introduced, which is welcomed by the industries. And in 2019, the national guidance on responsible business conduct was introduced in March 2019. I will take you through this principle, which is the base for our Indian reporting, which we call in 2012. On the 9th of May 2020, when SEBI has come out with the circular, it says last year it was recommendatory for top 1,000 listed company by market cap. However, from this year, that is from April 2022, top 1,000 large listed company by market cap, BRSR reporting is mandatory for Indian listed company. So that is how it has evolved. We started with CSR recommendatory, then the CSR become mandatory. Then we introduced BRR reporting in 2012. It has increased from 100 to 500, 500 to 1,000. And now looking at the global demand, the BRR has been gone away, and we have a very comprehensive reporting, which I will dealt in the time to come, another 5 to 10 minutes, which we call BRSR, Business Responsibility and Sustainability Reporting, which is applicable to top 1,000 large listed company. And it is recommendatory, well accepted by these three set of people we discussed the way forward as a recommendatory. So friends, what is ESG? See, this is the buzzword we discuss. Some people call climate change, some people call sustainability, and global word, which is popular known ESG. See, ESG is a combination of three words. So basically, it talked about indicators, it talked about the criteria, it talked about the matrices that characterize, that says the commitment to ESG by organization, how their operations are happening, sustainable, is your business happening, are we doing conduct business responsibly, and are the business operation being done ethically. So this is the essence of the entire ESG, how sustainable, how responsible, and how ethical our businesses are being done. So that is the entire spirit of ESG, which is talked about right now currently. See, the subject is still evolving. There are no fixed framework. Every country, every company choosing their own framework. Everybody has their own set of reporting. We will discuss in a greater length. Let's first understand the three ESG, what it stands for. See, first of all, E stands for environment. So how responsibly company take care on air quality. As you all know that any plant which operate has a consent to operate. They have to follow control pollution board guidelines. So you have to take care on air quality because it is human health, environment is at stake. How are you controlling and monitoring your air quality? How are you controlling your emissions, your greenhouse gas, oil, petrol, diesel usage, the emissions, the carbon emissions? How conservative you are on energy consumption? Are you using a non-renewable energy like coal? Or are you moving towards the way forward, which I think India has also pledged 2070, we will be coal neutral. So we will follow by renewable. That is a pledge of today, and which is globally, the commitment has been done globally, various countries with the different dates. And how are we taking care on renewable energy intensity? How are you using your water stress? You are taking from nature. How are you deploying back? How are you disposing? How are you reusing it? And importantly, the last important trigger, a matrices which talks about water. Water is again a very waste. How can we see that waste are minimum generated? How are they treated? Hazardous waste, chemicals, what we use in the factories, and how e-waste is being disposed of. So this is the first part of ESG. So friends, let's talk about what is S. S stands for social. We talked about employee mix. How your company have a gender diversity in your company? What is a mix of men and women in your company? Are we really giving women empowerment? Is the equal business opportunities being given to them? How is the composition of board? How are your KMPs? Our company is just doing compliance or CSR. Actual spend is happening where it is needed with the guidelines of the CSR policy. Our company is giving training and development across the board. What are the kind of healthcare benefit an employee has been taken care? Our company is encouraging a local procurement. Is it human rights policy is being awareness, educated, and being communicated across the board to all the workers and employees? So this is all talked about the social part. We traditionally know CSR, which is one of the now portion of S. The third, we talked about governance. So governance, when we we call G as governance. We talk about how independent your board is. Is it not? Is a real decision? Is the independent director has to say something in the board meeting, or they are just sake of to have a quorum, or is it only promoter group which keep talking and they influence the entire board and decision? Whether they really have in essence any say in the board meetings. Do we have company has a grievance redressal? How the executive compensation? You know that some of the compensation being not only even board approves, but some of the compensation we see in the medias. I don't want to name it as a public domain, but we have seen many compensation even objected in the shareholders meeting AGMs. So how we remain in the framework and how ethical and how transparent we are on those compensation. Whether company has, when we primarily talk about it, whether do have a policy procedure, whether there is a steering committee, whether there is a committee on the board for ESG, how serious we are on the statutory compliances. Are we really following spirit, or we are just following by form? Are we comply with the statutory compliance which are applicable to us with the spirit? And how to do risk assessment on ESG, and what is the role of the internal auditor, which is our subject, which I'll be dealt in the later part of the presentation. So friends, this is all about ESG. Let's understand a little more in the greater details, please. So friends, we discussed in your Indian nomenclature, the reporting, what SEBI has done in May 2020-21 for a large listed 1,000 companies. The reporting is called BRSR, Business Responsibility and Sustainable Reporting. The first part which talked about general disclosure, that talked about the company locations, the product services, operation is it has the number of employees, workers, associate, contractors. We have to give details about the general disclosure. The section we talked about management and the process disclosure, which talks about ESG policy, which talks about stakeholder engagement, which talks about governance, leadership, and the communication to the stakeholders. And the third part, which is most important, which we are going to talk in a greater detail, which we talk. See, there are 9 principles which we discussed the national guidelines for responsible business conduct has, and there are 9 principles which are divided into essential indicators and leadership indicators. We'll talk in a greater details. So friends, as we discussed, these are the 9 principles as laid down by the national guidelines on responsible business conduct. I will just take through quickly. The first one talking about the integrity and ethics principle. So is the training and awareness, is the people are being aware about the ESG, is the training has been given across the board to the people who are required to know, whether the conflict of interest involving director KMPs is being taken care, is the disciplinary actions are taken on whistleblowers, is it penalty and punishment has been given to the wrongdoers, so we set the right example across the board. So that first principle talk about integrity and ethics. The second talked about sustainable product. Are our sourcings are sustainable sourcing? Are we not really importing? Are we really giving encouragement to our local vendors, local suppliers, our MSME vendors? And are we encourage them rather than getting import everything what we into business into? do we have enough investment in our initial technology? So that's talked about how sustainable product and services a business you are into. The third principle talked about employee well-being, which is again a very important. So is it insurance and retirement benefits have been given not only the own workers and to contract employees are being taken care? Is it equal opportunity is being given to man, woman, all across this gender? Is there is a grievances redressal is there and it's working effectively? Are the health and safety is the prime importance? And as the company is following this zero tolerance on this, no harm policy, zero harm policy, is it being encouraged reporting on those safety and health issues? And how serious your company is about health and safety? The last one is incident reporting, how employees are aware and informed about those incidents, how reporting has been done, how the things have been attended on this, how serious on management. That sets the tone for principle number 3. The fourth principle talked about stakeholder interest. We discussed there are various types of stakeholder. Is it regulator, investor group, employees, vendor, customer, and public at large, socialists, etc. How frequently we get engaged with the society community. So that's important through your CSR spends. How you connect them through education, hospitals, the other needs, economic needs of our society, and where do we commit our funds on that? How often you consult between the stakeholder and board? Is it really a dialogue happen between the board member and the stakeholder who has to do with anything and everything on ESG? So that's all about stakeholder interest management. The fifth principle is talking about the human rights. So how the training has been given to people, employee at large on human rights. First of all, they should be aware about the kind of rights they're having it. The wage and remuneration is equal, whether they have followed the minimum wages, is it they have paid reasonably, are their OTs are not overrunning as per the Factories Act, are they are not working continuously. So those all major compliances, are they have been properly covered through PF, ESIC, have been taken over the proper remuneration with all the safety things. So how are you serious about your employees? Those are going to be a human capital for any company, maybe large or big. Assessment on the human rights and the complaints and redressal mechanism, how effective it is, or is it just for the purpose of sake of having it? How effective, how people have been taken care, how complaints have been properly analyzed and acted upon and resolved in time. The sixth principle talked about environment. The environment, as we all know that environment, basically the energy consumption we discuss. So how responsibly we are trying to, how energy consumption, basically we discuss in we have to now move to non-traditional way of energy using renewable, solar, nuclear. Rather than using thermal, we encourage hydro, solar. Now more and more companies coming up and getting into renewable. Even JSW has also doing in a very big way. We are into thermal, we are having to hydro, and now we are moving more on wind power, and we are investing on a very high on solar, just to encourage and support this ESG initiative globally. So that's, we again set that example as one among the other companies, please. Water withdrawal, how the water has been used across all your plants, how you are withdrawing, how are you discharging back, how you're giving back to the society. So society at large doesn't suffer because the corporate and the plants use those waters. How responsibly we use and we discharge back to the nature. Air and air and greenhouse gas emissions, which is a major cause of concern to the health and safety of worker and the surrounding community, how it get affected, how we control, how we monitor, so that it doesn't don't exceed those emission limits and would play with the health of the employees and a community at large where plants are being situated. The waste generation and disposal. So how we try, how companies serious, they try and see that there would be a minimum waste generation, and they take care there should not be environment threat on the disposal of hazardous chemical waste. The next one is regulatory policy. How serious we discuss about companies serious to set the tone for compliances in spirit, whether they are having affiliation with the trade and industry, how they are anti-competitive conduct and other compliances are being taken in this spirit. So that's talked about principle number 7. The 8th principle talk in greater length about how inclusive growth the company is looking at. How are we are doing preferential procurement? How are we are spending on CSR project? Is it need based? The based on the community. So as we now know that it's not necessary where my plant is that I have restrict, but essentially it is required wherever your plant. Say my plant is in Rajasthan, I'm essentially spent more money to the community being near to my plant. But now as per the newer law, you can spend even anywhere in the India. So if essentially to the location where your plant, your community is around, and you can spend anywhere in India to support those CSR objectives. The benefits of intellectual property and social impact assessment, which is very, very important. We at JSW, we do a time and again, whatever the CSR major spend, we do it. We do a social impact assessment, whether if say for education, is the right set of people got the education, is the right set of kids, they get the education in time, the maximum coverage, and we try and get impact. How ultimately we even had the third parties to see that whatever our spend are really getting, we get the benefit out of that spend on CSR, and we get that a formal report, social impact assessment from third party experts to ensure that the money which goes in donating in the CSR projects is getting this intangible value to us and to community at large. The last principle which talked about is consumers on IT, how we strong on IT, the consumer complaints, how companies serious about and attending consumer complaints and the redressal process. How do they have a consumer education and the awareness? The cybersecurity is again a bigger threat. We all know in the IT domain. I think Murtuza ji has talked in greater details, the data privacy, which has become so much important. We all, although everybody knows, but we learn more about this during our COVID era. So how important business data sharing and breach of data privacy from businesses, again, a big challenge. Sometimes your business may get, your plant may downtime and it may affect your business profits, data breaches. So friends, these are the top 9. These are the 9 principles based on which in India, the reporting is done under BRSR. So friends, there are 140 indicators under BRSR. Out of 140 indicator, 98 are essential indicators. See, what do you mean by essential indicator? That means you have to give those details in your annual report of BRSR. And when we call lead indicator means it is an option, but it is good idea to have a complete report on essential indicators and lead indicators. So in total, there are 140 reporting requirement questions to be reported under BRSR, and further drill down, this 140 reporting indicator has more than 400 and plus data points. Friends, you heard it right. In that BRSR reporting, there are more than 400 data points are there, which you have to update in your annual report. And essentially, you will see the maximum, under the category, if you see category wise, the highest indicators are falling under corporate governance. The second comes social, and third comes environment. This is a broader classification. And I have tried in further analysis, a department wise, which department has to give maximum data on ESG. The maximum is secretarial department, which has to give 43 indicators details. The second comes is HR, which has to shell out 26 details. And third is manufacturing department, which has to 24. And the lowest is being IT and purchase. Anyway, Vishal bhai, we are going to share this presentation with the team so they can, look at the convenience. Please do share my presentation. I find the presentation can be shared with the participant who is attending this today. So
Yes.
let everybody, this will remain with them and they can refer back whenever required, please.
Yes, Chetan bhai, yes.
Yeah, please. Thank you so much. So this is the kind of, then our role will come. I will talk to you when there is 140 checkpoints, indicator. We have more than 400 data points. So then our role will come as a internal audit experts, domain experts. So friends, as I told you at the start of my session, see currently right now, this is again a new topic, which is a buzzword across not only in India, globally, maybe in US, Europe, India, all countries, globally 193 countries. Every country has its own framework. Currently, there is no one framework which fit for all. Every company, every country, within company, different companies follow different frameworks. So that is one of the biggest challenges at this point of time. Before I get into challenges at this point of time, say unless you know challenges, you will not able to overcome and work on that. So friends, first understand, see primarily in India right now, BRSR, we discuss in a greater length, 9 principles we discuss, 140 indicators we discuss 400 data points, numbers to be given in your annual reporting on BRSR reporting. So first two frameworks are predominantly used in India. BRSR we discuss in greater detail. In the interest of time, I will not able to take through all the framework because this topic warrant a day's full day 8-hour session. So I will touch through the framework. So at least you can Google it. The frameworks are available with their websites. The second framework is called integrated reporting, which is again popularly used. See, JSW, we use it integrated reporting. Along with our financial, we give a very exhaustive reporting on sustainability reporting as well. So this is integrated reporting. Large to medium-sized large companies are doing right now integrated reporting on ESG parameters. Globally, JRI, the Global Reporting Initiative, many large corporate US, UK are following GRI framework. And one of the very popular, to my knowledge, is TCFD, that is Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosure. Yes, friend, this disclosure is financial disclosure, specifically climate-related disclosure needs to be given. And this is a very popular among investors, especially ESG investors. Mainly the UK and US companies are using this. Although there are few good companies, large companies in India who use TCFD as one of the very well accepted disclosure. I think somebody want to have some question, raising their hand. Amit Chauhan. I'm okay. If anybody has a question at this point of time, I can take that question. Sikandar ji.
Sikandar, can we unmute them? I doubt.
Because I think somebody's keep raising. I think Amit Chauhan I'm seeing. Okay. So I'm fine. I can answer the question in between. I'm fine to answer.
We can request him to post his question in Q&A.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I think that's fine because end of the session, I'm going to answer all of your questions.
Correct.
What limited knowledge I have on this subject, I will try and give a level best to respond you back. Please.
Yeah. Please.
Thank you, Sarath bhai, for suggestion. Thank you, Sarath bhai. Yeah. So as we discussed, TCFD is one of the popular global framework which is accepted mainly by the investor community and society at large for globally. The third one we discussed at the start of my session, we talked about those SDGs, 17 principles, which is again well accepted framework globally. And now coming to those standards, we have now developed Sustainability Accounting Standard Board. They have also came out with the framework, and we have Climate Disclosure Standard Board. So these are 6 to 7 different set of framework available. Every company, every country, they pick and choose. Unfortunately, there is no one framework which is applicable country-wise or a specific set of company-wise, or even the reporting and the rating is also right now. I will come to you in the next set of my presentation. Even ratings are also judgmental. It is every country, every company has its own set of rating. So I will take you through so we'll discuss about rating. See, rating is also not standardized at this point of time. See, as we all know, ESG rating, which is on the top, okay, which is calculated by accumulating the performance under pillar score, and below that is the theme score. Under ESG rating, there are three things: social, governance, and environment. Say example, environment. Environment has a theme score. Say example, climate check. Then what is your emission per year? So we talked about your resource use, how you are rational on water usage, your energy usage, how are you conservative and taking care on pollution. So first you will get score on this. The 400 data points, for example, say we follow BRSR reporting and pollution is on the bottom of those data points. Then cumulatively, we'll talk the numbers from climate change. There are X number points, there are Y number for pollution, there are Z number for resource use. Cumulatively, that become a pillar score under environment, second under social, third under governance. And overall, the score of ESG is given to that particular company for particular set of time. So this is how ESG score has been. Just for your knowledge, how ESG rating has been given to company all across the globe. So this is the methodology. However, the formulas, the parameters, what 400 points and 140 parameter I discussed, this is for India, BRSR. Foreign countries, UK, US, this parameter framework rating, everything may be different. But since I'm addressing to my Indian friends and that especially to my Bombay friends, I am talking more of Indian things. So friends, this is how the rating has been propagated from theme to pillar and pillar to overall rating is given. Now, who are the people? See, I tried and analyzed from the CRISIL report. CRISIL is one of the very popular and most acceptable rating agency in India. So they have recently had, the last report had come a year before, where they have surveyed for 225 companies. The large companies they have taken for their report. There are 18 sectors, and this is the framework followed by CRISIL by their own. So what they found, what is the ultimate learning out of those CRISIL framework rating? The information technology company and financial companies have relatively high overall OUG score. So companies which are in finance, NBFC, banking or IT have got very good and very high level of ESG scores. What is the reason of that? Because they inherently, they don't use more natural resources intensity. They don't use like manufacturing companies like water, energies. So those are low on intensity. They result in lower emission. Because of that, they are not manufacturing, they are IT and finance, they use less water waste generation and they use less water usage. And these companies are also high employment generator and relatively have a better disclosure. So this company has rated globally in India on a very high score on ESG parameter. Now, which are the company which, as per the detailed report, which are the company who had not really scored well? It is oil and gas, it's a chemical, it's a metal, it's a mining, it's cement companies, and other manufacturing companies has got lower ESG score. Yes, friends, you heard it right. The IT and finance banking companies have scored very good, very high on ESG, and manufacturing companies, oil and gas companies, chemical companies have scored low on ESG scores because they are highly natural resource intensity. They are highly dependent on nature resources. And thereby the emission levels are high. They extract higher use of natural resource, the mines, minerals, they use it, water, they use it more, iron ore, coal, they use more manufacturing companies. So because of that, emission levels are high, the resource saturation is more, the potential adverse environment and community impact is definitely higher as compared to the above what we discussed, and generally are more moderate level of disclosure. So this is just to get the flavor for we as India, how rating has been happened. I told you in the slide before this, and I told you the outcome which immediate last year being published by the CRISIL. So that gives you flavor which are the set of the companies or sectors are doing good on ESG and which are lacking on low on the score on ESG. Friends, finally, this is very important, a one-pager dashboard. See, finally, this is what your top management, your CFO, your chief operating, or your CEO, or your board, or your committee, your steering committee on ESG would like to see. So this is a one-page dashboard. I have just prepared for you to just at least have a fair idea on a one page, where do we stand? So first to talk about ESG board members. Do we have a composition of proper board? Do we have 2/3 independent director? Do we have committee? Do we have steering committee on ESG? Each board has a literate person who understands ESG happening around in India, globally, what's happening. Is their company has the right culture? Whether this ESG team has been properly compensated with the right tenure, with the proper diversity of the team who understand ESG. Whether the board board adopted a proper ESG framework. See, right now framework is open. It is, you can we can choose the framework which suits your company and the business what you are having into. Whether company have the safety policy, ESG policies, SOPs at entity level. So I just given you one second example. You take on entity level control. So whether company has a code of conduct, whether we have a code of ethics framework, whether we have a whistleblower mechanism, is it working fine? Is the people are being heard properly and the complaints are properly analyzed? Is the action have been taken and people, wrong people have been taken out of the system and the whistleblower is rightly taken care and avoided? Whether company has anti-bribery corruption policy? Do the company follow a legal compliance management? So I'm going to leave this PPT which you may go in a greater detail, because if I keep talking every parameter, it will take in the interest of time. I may not go into each and every parameter, but this is how we'll give you a flavor of what kind of ESG dashboard could be under governance, human rights, whether health safety parameter, where do we stand, CSR project, what is the impact analysis, a kind of commitment we had every year on year, a different set of projects we do, the kind of impact we discuss, how impactful to the community, and we contribute as a corporate to the community at large on social front. On environment front, how we control, how we use, how we move toward non-traditional to a renewable energy from coal, thermal to we get into the solar, wind and hydro, nuclear. How we are serious about water management, waste disposal management. And then we talked about ESG risk management, whether your ESG risks are integrated with the ERM risk, which is the on the top. ESG is one of the newer risks, although there are some risks we already traditionally we are capturing, but ESG in a proper framework, how they are aligned and proper inventory has been taken care for. ERM is a whole holistic risk for the company as a whole. So this is the set of dashboard. You can see that would be helpful not only the people, because it looks very nice on one pager, but the kind of effort, the number of people who are behind this to have this dashboard is, I'm taking the kind of efforts which required. We have such dashboards in my company at JSW. We take huge set of people. We have 46 plants. Okay. We are more than 175 companies. And when we talk about this, to get this one pager dashboard, the kind of people who involved all across is massive. And then what is important after putting so much efforts by so many plants, companies in the location, important, how accurate. Hope there is no, I will talk to you in a greater detail. Hope there is no greenwashing. I will talk to you in a greater detail in my further slides. So friends, this one pager dashboard looks very nice. A lot of efforts goes in preparing this. A huge efforts, accuracy, effectiveness, and timeliness. So ultimately that take your, I will talk to you in a greater details. By doing all this, we are talking about ESG. A kind of benefit is going to accrue is passive. Because you all know that, friends, since I'm talking in the public domain, if some good company, which is very good ethical company, for example, Tata's, like us, why these companies have a very high brand value? High, because they follow high standard of integrity, ethics, and they believe in community and social commitments. They are definitely, that's why they become so huge, because there's an equal commitment to the community as well and society at large. So this is how we're different from one company to other company. I don't want to discuss more about those name of those companies. We all are learned people. I'm sure you know we are all surrounded by small or large corporates, and how one company score even in the same set of business or same sort of location, how one grows very, very fast and other cannot grow. This is all because of how serious, how sustainable, how ethical, how responsible your company is on this ESG parameter. So friends, what are the challenges? As we discussed, there is no official global standard for rating. The ratings right now, we discuss about CRISIL rating. US may have some other agency. UK country has some other agency. So everybody has every set of rating. So can we do a comparison? Like we have Indes, so I can compare any company Indes in India. So there is Apple is compared with Apple. If Apple is compared with Orange, you cannot do comparison. You don't know the real intensity and intention of the corporate, and the reporting is correct. The rating is correct. See, based on these ratings, the investors we discuss about 40 trillion USD investments. So investment will not attract to your company. So that is why the bigger challenge currently, we don't have uniform global standard for rating. And if there is excessive focus on rating, then it will actually a just checkbox approach. We don't look this as an opportunity, which is understood by the society at large. Treating GSG as a communication effort. Friends, I was talking to greenwashing. The last month in June 2020-22, you please do Google a company, a German company named DWS. So before I take to the case, understand what is greenwashing. See, greenwashing is something you give in your annual report to your investor, to your regulator, to your socialist, public at large, where your results, your reports are being reviewed and trusted by so many stakeholders. Means you are trying to demonstrate, give a number or give a disclosure on ESG parameter which is not correct. So we Indian know about whitewashing. तो हिंदी में हम लोग उसको बोलते हैं चूना लगाना. Whitewashing. You have done a whitewashing. तुम चूना लगा रहे हैं. What do you mean by greenwashing? Means because this is a green initiative. We are talking ESG, environment, social. So it is in a English, in a Western English word, it is called greenwashing because it is about environment. So you are trying to fool public, a stakeholder at large. And for that, you please refer. You can write down DWS, a German company which has been penalized. They have used the method of greenwashing. They have given a false disclosure about their ESG reporting and how it has got penalized and had a bad name. You can refer that case in detail on Google. DWS, a German-based company. Okay. The lack of board and management oversight. See, if board or management doesn't have understanding on ESG, if they themselves is not clear about indicator, they don't know about the spirit of those indicators and the data points. If there is the right person is not sitting in the board on ESG steering or board committee or management committee, then that entire thrust of ESG will not come the way with the spirit we are talking about. The next important we discuss inconsistency across the firm, because different practice, different standard, different frameworks we discuss in a greater length, different methodology. So friends, these are the challenges. I think I'm sure over the maybe in the coming year to 3, I'm slowly, gradually this will do away or go away, and ESG will become a most acceptable. There would be acceptable rating globally. There would be a proper framework, standards, rating criteria. Everything will be certain, right, in the time to come. It's a matter of time, friends. We don't have an option. We don't have a choice here. We have to sit in this and we have to work on this, because this is the way of the life. Because if company earns, only think about their own company, own employee, own people, and earn money, make profits, and they disregard to the social, disregard to environment, disregard to social, disregard to the governance at large, disregard to society. The company may grow a certain level, but not after that, and may not able to go long. They may become big for a set of time, but they may collapse with no time. There are cases in the history. You can go back to Google and there are thousands of such cases, you will find it. So you have to adopt ESG. Is my only appeal as you as a fellow being, my appeal, please follow ESG. If you want to grow acceptable, then ESG is not choice. You have to be part and parcel to that. So friends, I will talk you more. I will just extend my discussion. Why I'm talking so much about ESG? What are the benefits? Friends, if some company is a very good ESG on rating foot, if it is very ethical company, very socially responsible, the conduct of business is happening responsibly. Why we take the name of the say Mukesh Ambani, Reliance or Tata's, which is such a brand reputation, because they have high standard of ethics, integrity, and business rules. They do business on a large scale. They become large over the time. They were never the large when they started. These are the years and years of efforts who bring those brand value to these business houses. Only because you are good governed company, you following ethical business practices, you feel you are socially responsible, you contribute not only to your company growth and profits, you contribute equally to the community and the society at large. It improves return on investment. If you see if your company is good on ESG parameter and doing good, you automatically, the investor will start putting money into your companies. Your company will definitely grow many folds. And so you will attract more ROI. More and more people will come in capital market where are listed. If you demonstrate your ESG commitment in principle and in spirit. Contribution to company's top line growth, we discuss automatically the flavor will come and it will sit somewhere else. People will have more and more trust and investing in your company. It drives stakeholder engagement. As I told you at the start, very start, my first word, the three stakeholders, regulator, investor, and socialist and public at large. These are the people who definitely will talk very tall for the companies who have this commitment on ESG. Social acceptability, we discuss to your business model. The greater corporate and investor confidence, which is the most. So friends, these are the inherent benefits if you are a good governed, a responsible business conduct, and socially committed to the community at large. So friends, let's talk about now, finally come to we as an internal auditor, as Murtuza ji told, and see, as we discuss nowadays, fees are decreasing, audits are being divided, bank audits also, a lot of people on panel, we hardly get a reasonable amount to do those. GST audits going away, tax audit is, limits are increasing. So our practice coming, it's coming down. So I think this is the area I tried and discussed with you about very basic things about ESG. Now let's understand how we can do internal audit of this ESG. First of all, say you, if you are a consultant, you propose a client to do ESG audit. See, already I have guided you what is ESG, what is the concept, what are the framework, what are the principles. So you can do the data point audits, the disclosure. I will talk to the greater detail. See, first you play as an assurance role. You propose the ESG as one of the audit area. Then, as I told you, we have 400 plus matrices, say BRSR. You can check for their accuracy, timely, because as I told you, say my company has got 46 plants. To collect those details for 46 plants is not that is going to happen in a month or 2 months time. Friends, this is happening. This happens throughout the year. The data got gathered at different set of data points all across the year. It is not like one-time activity. It is an ongoing activity. We have a chief sustainable officer and they have a team in HO and in plants who run the show. So then we have a role as an internal auditor to whatever they get this reporting matrices we discuss in India. BRSR has more than 400 data points. So it is we as an internal auditor can get vouch for this accuracy, the relevance and consistency and accuracy. Comparison of non-financial data with the financial data. So at a time, as we say, we are doing integrated reporting. So we as a subject expert, as a chartered accountant, as an internal audit expert, risk manager, we can vouch, say what is given in the non-financial data. Say example, in sustainability reporting, we have talked something and financial data talk something else. Then we have to advise as an assurance to the management boss, there is no inconsistency between two reports you are given under integrated reporting. So we can, as a subject expert, we play a greater role here. The next, you do a materiality risk assessment. What is material for those ESG reporting matrices? And to design what could be the role of board, what the role of management, what is the role of the plant, what is the role of the stakeholder. So we help with that. Now we in a consulting role, we help them with the framework, their ESG policy, the environment. We can help them to prepare those frameworks. We can help those matrices, what could be the lead indicators. We can help them in evaluating ESG impact and risk. Okay. And then we advise on different ESG related updates as an advisory role. Time and again, as I told you, various rating methodology come, various frameworks come, various matrices come. There are keep changing, regulations keep coming, going, changing. So we play as a role as a consultant to our clients. And the last one, we as an internal auditor can play a role into ERM. So we help them with the full spectrum of companies' risk, including ESG, so that we have got a full set of spectrum of risk, which is both established risk and emerging risk. So friends, you heard it right. It is not only we have to give them established risk, but a futurist emerging risk as well. We can present to the management, align on priority ESG issues. So your basically ERM, modify your ERM, so which take care of ESG risk as well. So we have to do a gap assessment. The next one, relevant risk, what could be the impact, vulnerability, likelihood, with the future scenario analysis and forecasting to the top management and the board. And lastly, effective governance structure. What could be structure at the management level? What could be structure at the board level? What could be structure of ESG on the plant level? We have a different committee. On plant level, we have ESG committee. Corporate, we have a board level, we have a committee. So we have 3 sets of committees: operational, management, and board level committee. So that proper governance structure can be guided. We as an internal auditor, I think this is again an opportunity to get into non-traditional area. I trust 45 minutes what I spoke on the basics of ESG would definitely help you. So friends, this is from my side. I try my level best to finish Vishal bhai well in time without
Yes, sir.
taking, I think I am on the time and I just kept 5-10 minutes for questions. I'm happy to take any question, Vishal bhai. And I trust Saturday evening all are here and I'm sure everybody will carry something with them. And now I'm sure nobody out of this room of 226 will say, I don't know what is ESG. They will not only know what is the full form ESG, but they will know concepts, they will know the investment level we are talking, they will know the trends, they will know the challenges, they will know the framework, they will know the principle, they will know the reporting parameter, they will know what about how the rating happens, they know the major reporting, what are the outcomes, what are the company with high or low on this. And importantly, the last, where I am a subject expert into internal audit, this is the a very promising. I, as the internal auditor, last 25 years, see this is very opportunistic and very promising, a new area, a non-conventional area of practice. For me, as even as a corporate man, I am looking, this is a great opportunity, and for I'm sure most of you are a practitioner. Please work on this. This is the area which is untouched. See, because here the earlier you were getting into this practice, you will able to earn better. Later on, there are many people will come and fall into this. So there is a more competition. So I think this is the right time. We are still on time. Please get into this. It is not necessarily small or big, because everybody want to get into IPO. Everybody want to fund. So if you're a good government ESG company, you will able to get your client a good rate of funding for them. So friends, this is from my side, and thank you so much once again. Sikandar bhai, shares, I am happy to take any question. Anybody has it? Please feel free if I can be able to answer any questions.
Yeah. Sikandar, can you check we have got any question?
No, sir, no questions.
Okay, so can I ask one question, Chetan bhai?
Happy to answer, please.
Yeah. So you explained very lucidly what is ESG and set the right tone. See, in ESG, you have to cover up so many areas: economic, social, and governance. So maybe as a chartered accountant, we can undertake some governance part. But how can we as a chartered accountant cover up this economic area, social area? So can you just throw a light how a small and medium firm can go and take up this as a challenge and in future?
Sharad bhai, very practical question, and it's a really good question. I'm happy to have this question. What you said is right. See, it is definitely we can take a lead. See, because even internal audits are like, I don't have only chartered accountant in my team. We have CISA in my team. We have forensic expert in team. We have engineers in team. We have IT expert, data analysts in team. So even for doing internal audit for company like JSW, I have a different set of people. So what you said is right. To getting into ESG assignment, it is definitely, see, we have a chartered, we have the domain expertise, and we have a very strong managerial skill. So we have some set of people. See, this is nothing a great rocket science as such. See, for that, first of all, you need to understand business. And anyway, see, when we talk as social, see, it is CSR is not new to you. Okay, sir. KMPs or gender diversity is not new to you. Or healthcare benefit. See, it is not, say, even these are the new fancy word is being introduced globally. See, environment. I am doing audit last 25 years. Whenever I go to plant audit, I take the CTO copy, consent to operate copy. I look at the Central Pollution Board, what is being given, what is the limit of air emissions, what are the limit for emissions, how the water management has been done, are we going back, or is it hazardous waste, how it is accumulated, disposal has been happening, how we e-waste on computer and those things. So this is nothing very rocket science. There may be a, I'm saying 80 to 90% of things can be well done by we chartered accountants. We may need a help of maybe 10 to 15% where you need external help or you need experts in your team who can assist you. But we chartered accountants inherently capable. You tell me any area, say governance. We know, say you may require some help from experts to draw say ESG policy procedure. We know executive compensation, how it happen under what Companies Act. Board independence we are aware. Anti-bribery policy we are subject expert. We know how to draft it. So my again a personal view, Sharat bhai, 80% of what we discussed today, I think the basic I have discussed, and we are all learned speakers, learned participants here. I'm sure 80% of us has that acumen, knowledge, and passion to do this. We may require to hire maybe from inside or from outside to run the entire 100% show. I don't see it's anything challenging. On the scale of 1 to 10, I think we are already 8+. That's my personal view. I think we well can done. It is only we feel it is ESG, some global term, some something like we never seen. Ye kya hai ESG? I'm sure many people doesn't know. If you talk what is ESG, even somebody will say environment ki jagah pe economic example. When people doesn't know, so it is about awareness, educating, and training. See, most of things CSR we are knowing traditionally. We discussed 2012 it was recommendatory. 2014 it is. So social CSR is one of the important thing comes under S. But we CSG. Yes, we are doing traditionally all these things. So they are trying to integrate those environment thing, governance thing, and social thing combined, so that in holistic view, globally, investor can this three set of people will look at the commitment of the companies, and the investor can put their money so that they can also grow and company can grow eventually. I hope I am able to answer you, Sharat bhai.
Yeah, definitely we need to open up our mind as well.
Absolutely, sir. It is no rocket science.
Right.
Let me tell you, sir, it's no rocket science. We all have huge capabilities. We have to just open up, you rightly said, sir. And I am always available for any set of help. Not for this program. You can offline talk to me. Happy to help whatever I can contribute this, sir.
Thanks a lot, Chetan bhai.
Yes, Sanjay. Thank you so much.
Chetan bhai, one question from me. This is Mukundan.
Yeah, please.
So this is about, on the large corporate, definitely there is a lot of awareness. There are a lot of sessions. There are sustainability officers appointed at the company level. At the same time, we have a large number of SME and medium scale industries where they may not be listed at the same time. There are not. How can we create awareness amongst them? See, we chartered accountants as a community, we have a lot of access to all these companies. They need our services. So how can this be established that these larger number of players like MSME and the medium industries are also part of these activities, so that the nation as a whole or the world as a whole is benefited out of this?
Mukundan, very good question, very practical, and practically, to be very honest, I don't have a direct answer. But see, that is what government, I think, thinking on the line which I'm going to answer your question. See, they are also going gradually. We see in the BRR where started again 2012. They started with the large company, then they increased to 500, then 1,000. Now BRSR come again 1,000. So they are made recommendatory. Right now, we don't have that bandwidth. And they don't want basically a cost burden also to the small and medium-sized companies too. See, basically, it's a cost-benefit analytic also, because they are not looking at the public at large, those funds from investor. And to coming to your answer on the awareness, yes, I think we are lacking. Still, government has to done on a large way onto this. This is primarily and predominantly it's known and understood by the top large listed company. You are right, MSME and the smaller companies. This a lot of initiative awareness program needs to be carried out. And my only objective, I'm again deviating from my question in a smaller way, because I'm right now communicating to the community where I am belong to as a CA fraternity. See, I pick up this CSG, ESG as a topic which I have seen my last 2 years. Only Big Fours are talking. Nobody is talking on this topic. So I purposely take up this topic last 2 years, and I am giving this on topic across almost most of the B school I given, Inter-Audit Standard Board given, WRC given, SCA given, and now giving to my own study circle. So I am trying to create this benefit of it to my fellow fraternity. So I have initiated this, to be very honest. Otherwise, this subject is not something I am very expert. I am not a domain expert. Let me give a very, but I developed the taste because this is, I am saying this is going to be future of practice for our practitioner friends, people who are working. So my endeavor to get into this topic is for me also out of the comfort zone. I am a subject, you know, sir, I am a subject expert in internal risk management last 25 years. ESG is not my subject, but the topic name itself is concept trend. I want to create that awareness to my other fellow beings. Not necessarily everybody has a little listed company. Eventually, maybe 6 months to 8 years, again, it will cover, it may increase to 1,000 to 5,000 tomorrow. Or it is always a good idea to buy MSME, NSA. Definitely, they will also able to get a benefit what we discussed here, sir. I hope, I don't know, I'm able to answer your query, but I don't have a direct answer to this because government has to done a lot. Whatever I have to do for my CA fraternity, I have started doing this last 2 years to awareness on this ESG as a subject and our role way forward, sir. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Chetan bhai. I request Sikandar Yadav to propose a well-deserved vote of thanks because he has to leave.
Thank you, Sharad sir. It is a great pleasure and honor to propose well-deserved vote of thanks to CA Chetan Thakkar sir. He has explained and shared knowledge on ESG reporting and investing, PRI, evolution of ESG reporting in India, ESG concept structures and principle of the NGRBC. He has also explained ESG rating, ESG challenges and reporting benefits. He has also explained the role of internal auditors in the subject. As said by John F. Kennedy, change is the law of life, and those who look only to the past and present are certain to miss the future. Thank you, sir, for sharing your views and knowledge.
Thank you so
by
much.
way of powerful PPT and opportunities in the area. Now I request all the members for a virtual applause.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. I'm talking to my own study circle, so it is a matter of pride to me. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Anytime, welcome. Even offline, welcome. And you please share the presentation with everybody, so everybody will get some benefit out of this place. Thank you so much once again. I'm taking a leave. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Vishal will be having some bio break, 2 minutes, or
We'll start.
we can start.
Yes.
Okay. So now we have got with us learned speakers KV Mukundan. I'll request him to take the charge of the further proceedings. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. You know, I am so honored, and you know, it is always a great privilege to talk to our professional colleagues. First of all, let me congratulate everyone on the CA day, which happened yesterday. And also to start with, you know, Mr. Shreyas, who gave me my introduction. Thank you very much. And also respected, you know, our WSC chairman who happened to be here with us, though he's not here. And also, you know, all the people, you know, Vishal Joshi, you know, Jawar Shah, Sikandar Yadav, you know, and my colleague speaker, you know, Chetan, who is my good friend. And also, you know, I think Hiren Mehta, who happened to talk to me, I think he's not on the panel, but definitely, and all other office bearers of the study circle, because I also happen to be a study circle convener. I used to be, because in our office, we had a study circle. So, you know, I know the challenges, you know, because in our case, it was a very small study circle. And in this Borivali study circle, it is always a great honor. You know, there are 200 plus people, 224 people on this one. So the two things which happens, you know, when I am as a speaker, when somebody is inviting me, one is that I am forced to refresh my knowledge, because you have to speak to a community who are well knowledgeable, well researched, and so you cannot go unprepared to such a session. So that definitely helps us. Rather, it forces us to refresh our knowledge. Second thing is that you know, when you ask questions, you know, rather every audience, when they ask questions, it definitely gives us a much more bigger exposure and experience, because it is a collective wisdom of 224 people, which all of us are going to get benefit. So I will always request that, everyone, I will request everyone to ask questions that will encourage all of us, because I am also going to learn a lot of things. It is not that we are only exchanging the knowledge. It is not that, I am something I might have studied, something I might have practiced, but I am definitely more than happy. And because some of the chat, I saw that, internal audit is something, their expertise is not available. In Bombay, there is no dearth of expertise, I can tell you that. And, people like me, Chetan Bhai, and other people on the panel, whom most of them, all of them, I am aware of all of them. All of us are in the internal audit, and we are all happy to share as much knowledge as we want, as you want. And in the process, we are also learning a lot of things. It is not that, we are sharing the knowledge. It is only always an exchange of knowledge. So that is what I would like to tell you before I share the screen. Just give me 1 second. I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
And audible also.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In between, I will have some poll to understand the details. At that time, I will stop sharing, and I hope somebody from the panel will do that poll for me. The idea of that poll is just to understand, so that I can articulate the presentation in such a way that it is helpful for everyone. At this moment in time, I should tell you that I have prepared this presentation at a very, very basic levels. It is not at a very this one. Sometimes you may also find that, that this is a technical subject. I will try to simplify as much as possible, and not necessary that, we may need to, but definitely we need to acquire a lot of knowledge. Not necessary that, we have, pass certain examinations. We need to have a flair on this particular subject. So that is the whole idea of this one. So anyway, that poll will come. Prior to that, I will just, give you 60 seconds just to introduce the company which I work. So this is I work for the company called All Cargo Logistics. We are an Indian multinational group and promoted by a first generation entrepreneur, Shashi Kiran Shetty. And we are present in 160 countries. We have 300 offices. We are a capitalist to the export-import trade. So LCL is a terminology which is used for which is less than container load. If you have to import or export, we are #1 across the globe. We are ranked 18th top ocean freight forwarders list globally. We operate container freight stations in India about 5 to 6. We are #1 position in that particular area. We also operate warehousing solution. Chemical warehousing is one of the #1 activity we do. In size, we are #1 in that particular product in India. We also significantly engaged in the equipment rental, which are crane basically. These are used for the construction work, metro work, and the refineries and dams and everything and so on. Big cranes are used. Express cargo, this is used under the Gati brand. So we have 2 listed companies in India. One is All Cargo Logistics Limited, and the other one we recently acquired a couple of years ago, that is Gati Limited. That is what you find these various logo. That's all about the as far as the company is concerned. Now we'll get into the poll, and so that the idea is to just to articulate the right way. I'll stop sharing the screen. I hope someone of the office bearer has that poll questions.
Yes,
feel
sir.
free to ask that question. So if I don't have to stop the screen, I think you can continue in this way, or it is.
No, we can continue.
Okay, so I will request everyone to the poll, and this is a confidential. This one, it is completely anonymous poll. So I want everyone to answer these questions, and there is nothing, who is voting what, we do not know. So what I would like to understand, the first one is that, are you carrying out internal audit services either as an employee or a practicing CA? Please opt for yes or no. There is no right or wrong answers. Whatever is your right answers, because we don't know who is voting what. The second question, are you a DISA, CISA, or equivalent qualification? It may be CA, SSP, or any other qualifications for that. please vote. So there are 224 participants. You know, the voting is only 28 or so we would request everyone to go for the voting, because I would like to see all the 200 people. The idea is only to give you the right way of delivery of this 1 hour session, which I will have, and I can have as many questions as you want. You never ever worry about the type of questions what you are asking. Nobody is going to laugh at your questions. I can guarantee you that. And even if I do not know the answers, I can definitely give you the I can get that answers at a later time. So I will request everyone to vote. There are only 45 people have voted. I believe that we have all the 225, at their respective the screens. And the third question also you can see, but that also you can vote. You can do you have actual exposure? This is very important question. So let me tell you my own experience on this. So I completed my CISA and DISA both in 2002, and I was trying to look at what should I do, and I happened to do it in from the state of Madhya Pradesh, where probably I was the first CISA from that state. Okay, Bombay is a different scenario, but Madhya Pradesh is not that advanced. So in 2002, after completing the CISA, I thought that I have got this certification and I can do a lot of computer audits and everything. But I did not understand basically what can be the management assertions in the information technology area. What are the things I should check? How should I check all these things? So it was a very, very difficult situations for me. And finally, I decided that I cannot remain in, Bhopal if I want to become a computer auditor. And I had an option of either going to Delhi or to Bombay. And finally, I shifted to Bombay in 2004. And then I worked in the information technology area only with one of the big four. And that helped me, so I was working only in that area, though I worked them about a couple of years only. At that time, I worked only in that particular area. That helped me to understand what are the management assertions which is the starting point for the every internal auditor. Sometimes if you ask a management assertions, there may not be any management assertions in the written document form. At the same time, there may not be any people but at least you should be able to sit with the chief information technology officer to tell them that what are the expectations from them and ask the relevant questions. At the time, I after the Big Four experience, I was able to do it, but prior to that, I did not do it. And I'm happy that many of my experience which I have, many of them have qualified. Particularly the poll number 3. 66% of the people are like I used to be in 2002 to 2005. I should say, rather 2004 onwards, 2005 onwards, I started getting exposed. So there is nothing to be worried. So today, I am happy that all of you are open for these questions. And the next question, fourth question is, without DISA, CISA, and exposure thereon, can we become a successful internal auditor? I will answer this, slightly later. Did your client or employer undergo a cyber attack? Yes. So this is very interesting. This one, the 14 people have answered yes. That is so I'm just going to the screen. I hope everybody can see this poll. The first one is, are you carrying out internal audit services? There are 42 people have said yes and remaining no. Are you a DISA CISA qualifications? 15 out of 72 no. And do you have actual exposure to the information technology general computer control? There is yes 24 out of 72 and no to 48 out of 72. And without this qualification, the answer is almost 50-50. And the last question is, did your employer undergo attack? So the 15 people have answered yes and remaining has answered. So I'm closing the poll, and now we will go to the next slide. I hope it is okay. Yeah, you can share the results if you want. So this is okay. We can go ahead. I think I
Yeah,
read
please.
out the.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So this is what I wanted to start with the discussions. What our CARO guidance, because some of you have mentioned about the statutory audit is very important, and most of you have the exposure or you are practicing in that area. And this one, so the ICI guidance now talk about whether the company has an internal audit system commensurate with the size and nature of the business. This is in para 314A, and the page 176-73F, subclause 5. It is talking about, technical assistance to the internal auditor. And the last paragraph, I am not reading prior to that. Similar consideration would apply where a large part of the transactions are computerized. In such cases, internal auditors should have assistance of persons who are able to audit computer systems. So if you are certifying a CARO of 2020, so what the guidance note talk about is like this, you need to have either you have the qualifications or you have the assistance, of a computer expert who can help you on this particular area. So this is what I would like to start with this. At this moment in time, I will also request that everyone, that if you have any questions, please note down, because I try to give the page numbers. Unfortunately, I don't have a page number, which I am not able to see it here. So I believe that is, you can definitely ask about the area where you would like to have, and note the questions, and you can always ask all questions right now as you speak, as I speak. And finally, what we would like to have, somebody from the panelist side will call out each questions, and I will answer that. So you don't have to wait for the end for asking questions. I hope it is okay. I'm going to the next slide. Just give me 1 second. So what are the activities what we do with a computer information technology system in general? This I am talking about most of the companies, what you have been observing, this may be medium size, large size, or even an SME, the small scale industry today. Without what are the activities what we generally do in a computer system? That's what we are going to do. So I am putting some answers, and you may also have this one. So many of them may do. Partly this may be applicable, and partly this may not be applicable, or some of this may be applicable. So these companies may be using information technology system for procurement, for vendor empanelment, accounts payable processing, that is invoice payable, the sales activities, that is procurement, the sales order activity, invoice processing, attendance, payroll, production and services. That is, if you are a manufacturing company, information technology may be used for the production activities. And if you are a service company like us, even for services, you must be using these particular activities for this particular the computer system. So that is where, so now if you look at the inventory, maybe another area where we are looking at the computer system may be used. So either there may not be any company where there may be at least one or multiple areas where they may be utilizing, or they may be utilizing a software called ERP, which we call it as enterprise resource planning. Some of them may be using a few modules out of that. Some of them may be using the different modules of the enterprise planning area. So that will cover most of the things. And there also, some of the companies may be using only part of the area, and remaining they may be using standalone systems. So that must be the area where we are all using the information technology. So wherever you are using information technology, the CARO specifies that you should use a computer expert. So that is where the today's session should help you for this. This is our IAA definition of the internal audit. So today, if I want to talk about this, the three bullets, bold letters, bold words which I have used, phrases which I have used. It is the IT risk management, IT control, and IT governance process. That's all what we are going to talk today about it. So we as an internal auditor has the responsibility to improve the effectiveness, the evaluate and improve the effectiveness of risk management, control and governance process. So today's session, which will be the evaluate and improve the effectiveness of IT risk management, IT control and IT governance process. So it is mandatory for all of us to do this activity. Either we acquire these skills, not necessarily through an examination, or wherever possible, the clients will be more than happy if you already can demonstrate through an examination. And if you do not have the examination, still you can acquire the skills, and or if you are not in a position to do it, whatever may be the reasons. And I will definitely urge you to ensure that an expert who has passed the DISA or CISA, it may be if you are a really want to do a computer or effective audits, you will need technology people and you will be needing process people also. I will be talking more about that. So an ideal combination of a team, if you want to do a computer audit, is those who chartered accountants, those who are well familiar with the processes, those who have passed the CISA, DISA or any similar examination. And we also need to have technology people, those who come from the computer background, computer science background, from engineering background, particularly in the area of network audit or the operating system audit and that sort of areas. We will be talking a little bit more in detail in subsequent slides. I am going to the next slides. Please feel free to note down all your questions, and then we will be answering all these things at the end. Now, foundation of, I don't know how to stop this you may not be able to see the, okay, I think now something I can do this way, so that you can see the full screen. And whenever this comes, so why it is so important. So I have already told you about this one. So foundation for the reliable assurance. So assurance which I am talking about is that the internal audit assurance. That's what I am talking about. So the business enterprises, any enterprise, whatever you are auditing, they require, for the decisions making, they need the complete and accurate information. And because of the volume of information today, even a small company may have 100 crores turnover. If they have got 100 crores turnover, they may not be able to do everything manually. And IT systems are the only one which can provide this. So without a complete and accurate information, where we have to relay for the computer system. So all your systems, which I talked about in the previous slides, if they are on the computer platform, any type of platform, computer platform, then you need to have a basic understanding of the information technology, general computer control. And with that, you should be able to give a proper assurance, proper internal audit assurance to that particular company. So that is what we would like to talk about with this. That is where we need to have a proper foundation. And this is where we will be talking about. Now, I am giving you this, the current slide where it is projected, the enterprise system, which is talking about the ERP. So we can put into three baskets. One is the general computer controls, which we'll be talking more in detail. So which is, system maintenance, disaster recovery, physical and logical security, data management, and so on. And the application controls. Application control, just to give you before that, let me, on the general computer control, there are the multiple activities like operating system, the data, the telecom software, which is basically the network one. If you want to, Chetan bhai talked about 46 factories. If the 46 plants are and their head office and regional offices, if they have to communicate each other, it needs a telecom software, which is speaking from one network, one area, one office to another office, to one data server to another data server, and so on. Business continuity and networks. So all these things will be part of the IT services. Within that, we will be talking about the general computer controls. Application controls, just to give you more this one. Application means, we are talking. So even the operating system, the operating system, the example is like Windows. It is an operating system. A database software like Oracle, it is an operating system. Okay. So I'm giving you some examples so that, you will be able to understand. So telecom software is more to do the network. That is one location to another location. That is where the telecom software is used. Okay. Network may be internal or external. That is between the offices or within the offices also. It will be the network. Telecom network will be there. Most of these things you may be familiar. If at all anyone has a further specific question, feel free to ask these questions and we'll be answering at the end. And application control. The application means, example, SAP is an application. Okay. So that is where the actual, most of us will be the financial data or even non-financial data like quality or production. All these things are the application control. We are not going to talk today about the application control, because application control is something which again may need another session or much bigger session for that. Even to give you a flavor of the application control, it may need more, much more. Today we will be talking only about the general computer controls. And if time permits, we can always come questions, but a flavor I can always give, today, what is an application control also, if time permits. Otherwise, we will be restricting today our sessions in the general computer control. But feel free to continue ask questions even in other areas, so that if there are more questions, we will have a separate session itself only on the application control, depending upon the interest of the audience. The entity controls, this is more to do with the control environment. So this will be part of the COSO framework, which even for the statutory audit, you must be knowing about it. And even if you are going for a smaller enterprise, application of this control environment may be very difficult. At the same time, most of these things you should be able to understand. So control environment, at least rather one of the entity level control is control environment. And that is where the system planning and operating style, enterprise policies, governance. And so IT governance also will be talking some portion of it, but not the entire in its entirety. So the conclusion of this slide is that without a basic understanding, without doing a general computer control, we may not be able to give a proper internal audit assurance to the management. So that is what I would like to conclusion of this particular slide. So this is slide number 6. You can note the slide number 6 also if there are any questions on this, and we will come back to these slides if there are more questions. So some of the common problems in IT organizations. So this is the next slide, which I will be talking about, slide number 7. So you will find that IT governance is not in place. So if you are talking about a small enterprise, then you will always have a much bigger challenges in this area. And if you are a bigger enterprises, definitely, because I have been working with many big companies, and even in big companies, this is a big problem. And I will tell you the reasons. So IT people are very good at executing the work. If you have a problem, if you tell them, they will always give you the solution for that. But governance needs a lot of documentation, a lot of adherence to the way of doing, not shortcuts. There is proper system, policies, procedures, and everything. So I am only talking about in the IT related. So IT governance is not placed. One of the reasons is that most of the engineers, those who come from this programming side or other area, they are not habituated for documenting and implementing these things, and also adhering to the one way of doing this. Policy means there is only one way, or there are a few choices available. Every time if you do it differently, then that cannot be a policy. So we find there are big challenges even in big organizations like this. So the one way of giving the control activities, which we call it, as we talked earlier about the control environment, the control activity in this area is the ITGCC, which stands for the Information Technology General Computer Control. So that is the control activity. Policies and procedures not formalized. Formalized means it is not documented, and there may not be, many times they may be doing juhadu things, which is in Indian context. And then it is not a proper policy and procedure. So anywhere a procedure, we will be talking about that procedure subsequently more in detail. At that time, you will be able to understand why do we need, for example, an access policy, or an insider in the company, what access is required. An insider in the company where a role is given. If he is an invoicing person, what are the type of access, what is required. Similarly, if an external guest comes, he may be a statutory auditor, he may be an internal auditor, or he may be a consultant, or he may be a system maintenance person, how the policies, how the access policies should be given. So there, it may not be not formally documented and implemented. Documentation does not exist, or it is insufficient. If for the sake of auditor's sake, so earlier Chetan bhai used the terminology greenwash, whether it is whitewash or greenwash. If you ask, there is a document, there is nothing in place, or they will make a 2-3 sentence policy and give it to you, it will be it may not be existent, it is made only for you. Risk assessment, again I am talking about the IT risk assessment. risk assessments are not performed regularly. So some of you have indicated about in the poll that there was cyber attack in your company or the client's company. So one of the basic reason for us is that the IT risk assessment are not performed regularly. And even if it is done properly, still we have the challenges of not effectively doing this particular activity, and there are cyber attacks. And even if it is done properly, there are companies which have spent millions of dollars on the risk in the risk assessment, as well as the cyber security efforts what have been done. At the same time, still there have been attack. So many companies, what you might have heard in the Indian context, might have spent a lot of money on this particular area, but still the effectiveness is something which, as an internal auditor, you have to look at the IT risk assessment, how it has been done, and what is the effectiveness of this one. And this is one of our job also, as per the definition of the internal audit. Controls and related procedures are not in place, or there is lack of inconsistency in doing this particular activity. So it is very important that there are multiple controls when we talk about, because IT GCC itself is a control, and the IT GCC is part of the control activities in the COSO framework. So you may find that these are not in place, or it is not done consistently, because the entire framework of the IT GCC is based on the fact that there is one way or two or three or a limited number of choices of doing this one, not by the manual way of doing. Every activity is done in a different way. So there is an application which is guiding you. It is like this: if instead of talking about an application like SAP, if you have, most of you must be having a Facebook or a LinkedIn account. The application, there is a one way of creating a user. There is no other way of creating a user. And you have not even, in the digital world today, where the importance of IT is increasing day by day, there is no manual how do you create a Facebook user account or a LinkedIn user account. The application guides you properly, and you are able, it is made so easily, and you are able to do all these things. So coming back to the questions, so when one way of doing this one, there are multiple other activities. As a user, they have given a lot of freedom. At the same time, if you are an employee of a LinkedIn or a Facebook, then these controls will be coming into the place. Access controls are inadequate. So application, I have given you the example of SAP database. Multiple databases are available. Oracle may be one of the database. Oracle also has application, but I'm talking about the Oracle database. Operating system, I gave you an example of Windows. So Windows for the server is different. Windows for your personal computer is different. So access controls are not adequate. Authorization control. So segregation of duties is one of the basic examples. So maker and checker is something which all of us are fully aware of it. So this is another problem of the IT organizations. Change management processes are weak. So access to development environment and production environment. I use the terminology or the abbreviation DEV, which stands for development and production. So production environment in IT terminology means an application where it is hosted, where your actual data processing happens. And when you open a computer application and you operate it, so for example, you are preparing an invoice. So that goes and work in a production server where your live data is and processed, and you get a invoice final printout. So development environment means it is a testing environment where the developers of the application are operating. It is a test environment. Finally, any program is always, first prepared in a development environment, then the testing is done. And after testing, once all the multiple activities are there for the testing, also the user, the last one is user testing. But before that, the person who developed, they themselves do a testing. And subsequently, there is a quality department which will be testing. Independent testing must be happening. And then the project management testing also must be happening. Parallel testing, capacity testing, so many testings will happen, integration testing and so on. So all these things will generally happen in a development environment. And afterwards, the development environment, once it is tested thoroughly, it comes to the production environment where it is a deployment happens. So I'm just giving all these explanations. Some of you, those who are well familiar with this, it may be a bit boring, but those who are not familiar, I would like to take it at the basic level. Another problem, a common problem, the data retention is inconsistent and the ability to recover is untested. So for example, all of us know that we have to keep the record for 8 years, at least under the Companies Act, Income Tax Act, and so on. And companies also must be having a data retention policies. Now, 8 years, within 8 years period means, there may be situations where it can go up to 15, 16 years because of, the last year of the 8 year, then you are changing your IT environment. You are going for a new SAP implementation. And prior to that, you were on a homegrown system. Now, if you want to do this, you may have to keep it for a much longer time. And many times you may be needing this to retrieve for the regulatory authorities and as well as for the regulatory mandate under the Companies Act, you need to retain. Even if there are no regulatory inquiries, if there is a regulatory requirement, then you may have to do it. I believe I am, able to make sense, and I am going a little bit slow. I don't know whether, the audience is feeling discomfort. I am too slow or too fast, or nobody is able to understand. If some of you can, give the chat, and any one of the panelists can tell me that, yes, it is okay, or you want me to change my tune, beyond this.
Sir, you are going great. No, not to worry.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am continuing. So now we are really getting into the general computer controls. So information technology, general computer control. In general, we use the ITGCC as the abbreviation. So I'll be talking about a little bit more in detail. There are about 10 to 11 specific general computer controls, and we'll be talking about that. So the apex level, the highest level, is always the planning and strategy. So planning and strategy, because first and foremost, the planning as an internal auditor, first what you need to see is that the IT strategy is always aligned with the business strategy. So unless and until the business strategy is in place, and so many times if you go and ask your customer or the client, or if you are an employee of the company, if you go and ask your CEO, what is your business strategy? You may not get a right answer. But if you are an employee, at least you may be able to ask relevant questions and understand what is their right strategy. This one. Most of the places this will not be documented. Even under the Indian circumstances, most of these things Indians are always where the promoters manage the business. So it is there in their mind. So even their second generation may not fully know the strategy. But over a period of time, at least you will understand what is their implied strategy. So at least many companies, because of the PE investors, the private equity investors, have invested. So a lot of documentation may be available in this particular area. And if you are available, if that you are able to get these things, that will help you definitely to understand what is the business strategy. And then when you discuss with the chief technology officer, at least he also should be able to. There's a CIO or CTO, who is the person who is able to give you this one. So this is the planning side of it. So identify the requirements for the development. So what are the expectations of the businesses? If you are a manufacturing organization, if you are a service organization, and within the industry to industry, all these things will differ. So just to tell you some examples, so if you are income tax department, that is where the filing of the returns are, or GST for that particular matter. So the requirements are completely different. All of us know on 30th July, all of us will be busy in filing the returns. And on that day, you will be able to have, lot of requirements will be there. On that day, everybody will be filing this one. So on a particular day, you may need several, the entire system should be working satisfactorily. If you are dealing in shares, or you are a stock exchange, on the 3 to 3:30 time, it will be the highest time when the number of settlements do happen, squaring up positions do happens, and expiry date, this will be much more. And then what you need, the strategy and the planning for this one, an ordinary company or a startup company. So all these things, companies, so I gave you 3-4 examples: stock exchange, income tax department on 30th July, on the last day, a company, a startup company, which is more into digital, and any other company like Allcargo or JSW. So all these 4 companies will be needing a different resource planning, and the requirement of the strategy, IT strategy, will be different. So as an internal auditor, you need to understand these things, you need to ask these right questions, and then only you will be able to get a proper this one. So this is the apex level where the control environment side of it, the strategy and planning. The service maintenance application system required to support ongoing and future operations of the organization. The planning cannot be done in a way that is you take care of today's needs. So whenever you are planning for an application system, at least minimum you plan for 5 years. It will never be done. So you have to take a lot of care, and without understanding the business strategy, you may not be able to do it. The second general computer control is information system operations. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the terminology operations. Okay. So I will try to give you some examples relating to that. Then I hope you will be able to understand these things. So I am not, for this bullet, I will come back to this slightly later. After taking up the other 2 bullets, I will be talking about the supervising and maintaining, because if I explain the other 2 points, you should be able to understand this in what we are talking about. Providing scheduled, monitored, and secure computer operations. Now, I have given you certain example, job setup. What is a job setup? For example, you have 2 applications. Say one is a taking care of your attendance system. Okay. And other one is a payroll system. Now, attendance is captured on day-to-day basis. At the same time, payroll is processed mostly once in a month. This I am talking about considering the Indian environment. So the data from payroll may have to, the data from attendance system may have to roll it, go to the flow to payroll system. So for which, the computer operations people, they will be scheduling a job that, say, if your payroll is processed on, so in our company, we process the payroll based on the attendance from 21st to 20th. And we process the payroll by 22nd, 23rd onwards, we start the processing. And first it is disbursed, but the payroll is always, attendance system is taken only up to 20th of the previous month. Remaining 10 days is taken the next subsequent month. If you are taken any leave or deductions or anything, that is taken care. So what they do is that, so 20th to 22nd, there are some attendance regularization activity and other things have to be done. So a job is generally set up. It is a permanent setup job that on, say, 22nd, that is 2 days are kept for the grace days to, regularize the attendance and everything. Say on 22nd night or 23rd night, I'm giving you an example. So a job will be scheduled by the operations team of the information technology department. The payroll system should, the attendance system should flow the data to the payroll system, so that so I gave you an example of what is a job setup. And then scheduling is done on every 22nd or 23rd night. And operator actions. Now, operator actions, how does the operator has to do the computer operations? So you have to give all these questions. These are all the areas where you, as part of the computer auditor, you have to all these specific questions. What are the jobs you have set up, and what are the jobs you have scheduled? The operator action, the example is that, he has to look at the logs, whether the data has already transferred, because the scheduler will give you the data where actually it has moved or it has not moved. So there may be multiple reasons why it is not moved. So, and even when it is not moved, how it has to be moved further. So that I am not going further details, but this should give you a flavor of the things, what questions you should ask to a computer, the operations people. What are the operator, that is log sheets, what you maintain, how do you check on day-to-day basis, what you, the sample, you collect the various samples, and what are the areas where they have, the operations have not been completed, and what subsequent actions they have taken, where the completeness of the data is fully flow from the attendance system to the payroll system. The backup is a regular activity. In general, there may be multiple way of doing. In the olden days, it was used to be in tape and everything, but nowadays it is all taken in other modes. And the best way of keeping the data is in the form of disaster recovery, where, because many of the SMEs, many of the small enterprises may not be having a disaster recovery mechanism where a parallel data setup is maintained according to where the recovery can also happen. Recovery means in the event of any attack or in the event of any other scenario, you recover the data. I believe I have been able to give you a simple explanation. What is job setup? What is job scheduling? What are the operation or operator actions like job schedules, the log sheets, and what is backup and recovery? So these are some of the activities. Again, it is not an exhaustive list. These are the part of the information system operations where a computer department is doing this particular activity. The second point which I would like to talk about is satisfying end user requirements for computer processing support and problem resolution. So this is one of the very important activity where, you know, our system has to be, the planning aspect has to be designed in according to the requirements. For example, as I was giving the example of the stock exchange where the maximum the transactions happen between 3 and 3:30, the user requirement. So if I am the CEO of the stock exchange, I will say that I will have millions of transactions per second, but my computer system should be available 100%, not even a fraction of the second. There should not be any difficulty for that. So you have to plan and ensure that my information system operations are capable of delivering these things. Otherwise, you know, it may not meet the requirement. So again, I go back to the same examples, like what required in the stock exchange may be different, what is income tax department may be different, startup company may be different, my company or the Chetan's company may be different requirements. So once you are taking care of this one, so automatically the first bullet, that is supervising and maintaining the computer system of operations, that will always, you know, this is all the part of that particular activity. So this is talking about the second general computer control, that is the information system operations. The third one is, and this is not in any specific order. So let me tell you that this is not in any specific order. So you don't give any importance that this is the third one and the fourth one. So relationship with outsourced vendors. Nowadays, it is a lot of activities are outsourced under any information technology environment. So it may be a data center activity. So most of the data center nowadays, we do not maintain it. It is always hosted by the third party. It may be a help desk activity, or it may be a network activity, or even the activities like, you know, the network. So like Airtel or Jio, or all of them are the vendors. The computer, the hardware maintenance is done by the vendors. So as an internal auditor, you have to see that managing the outsourced vendor relationship in terms of service levels. So service levels are very important, SLA, which we call it as. So each and every contract you should check whether how the SLA has been defined and how the priority of the work is done, and what is the service level adhered. One is the commitment in the form of contract and adherence. So this you should be checking when you are as a information technology as part of the IT GCC. And pricing, of course, all of us are experts in the quotation process and also sort of. So I will not be getting into that. The right of access, this is very, very important, because vendors in the form of, if they are maintaining an application, they will have a lot of right of access, which are super highest level of access, which is much more than any other person who is required to have a general access. So super user or something similar to that, I can see. So when they have the right of access, so it is necessary that you know, we will be talking about in the database access issues when we be coming subsequent to that. How do we observe what? Then there are tools available. What are they accessing? How are they accessing? What are their entire activity when they are? Because we may definitely need these vendors when they are you know, doing the application maintenance and database and network these things, and how they are, you know. And it is also important that many of the attacks, you know, the cyber attacks happens because of their lack of background verification on the outsourced vendors, particularly in the network area. You know, there are definitely instances which has been noticed. So background verification of these vendors is very, very important. It cannot be that any one of this one, if there is a malware they deposit, if they, you know, any other this ones, all your attacks can happen, and he may be, you know, may not be on the scene. And when the problems do happen, you know, they might have been instrumental in igniting these thoughts in this particular process. So we are going to the next point. We have completed 3 general computer controls, and the fourth one is information security. This is the most important one, which we would like to talk more. All the cyber attacks happening because of this, and there are 2 types of information security. One is this, you know, our own staff, they leak the information. Okay, if as an employee, let us take the case of a salesperson. He understands what is our selling rate. He understands our buying price. He may know many more other information. Or if you are, and if he's going to join a competition, and when he's going to join competition, he knows our pricing, you know, and many times if we have multiple price, you know, if it is a one rate, it is easy to remember on, in your brain. Nobody can stop that. At the same time, if you have multiple rates for multiple customers, and if he takes out that data and he goes to the competition, it definitely affects as our company and our client. If you are an employee, our employer, it definitely affects. So one is that category. Second is the cyber attacks and that sort of things, where they are they are professionals, those who are indulging in these sort of activities, and they will be doing this. So designing, implementing, and maintaining information security, including both physical and logical security. So physical security means, again, I'm talking somebody, maybe it may be a boring, those who know about what is physical security. Physical security means, if I am coming to your factory, what is or factory or office, what is the process for that? There is a security mechanism, who will be asking my identity. He will be allowing me to enter. And if I am required to meet so and so, I am only allowed to enter to that place. I don't go here and there. I don't loiter in the office. I don't access to any other information technology, tools. I don't, put any malware, either physical malware or any this one, because nowadays you might have seen in any of the Mission Impossible and that sort of movies, how do they, leak the information? How do they put these tools which can transmit the informations? So physical security is very important from that particular point of view. Who can give access, what is access, and what data is, it can be today we have also sensitive information wherever you are a listed company. So for example, if I am walking to Chetan's office, so Chetan's company is a listed company, and if I find that there is a whiteboard in Chetan's room, or it is in somebody else's room, or I happen to pass through a transparent room which is a glass outside, where through in front of the CEO, where they are talking about the production targets, what is their achievements and everything. And if I am passing through this, and through the glass I can see these numbers, okay, I take a photo, and I take a photo, and because I am going to the Chetan's room and nobody is there accompanying me, and the moment I take this information, and then now I know what is the information, and I will complete the work with Chetan and go back to my office. Then I know that if they are doing very well, then I would like to buy the shares. Okay. And finally, I may spread this information, multiple marketing, if I am a share broker or if I have got any other interest. So information leakage can happen in multiple ways, and physical security has a very, very important role to play. So you should check what is the control in place, the physical security. Logical security is how the computer access is given to you, what the network access, what the database access, what the application access, what the operating system access, depending upon your role, what you play. Okay. So finally, what it is talking, control that prevent the inappropriate and unauthorized use of the system. So system may be a manual or this one. So manual, I was talking about the physical security. We're looking at the dashboard of on the CEO on the whiteboard. So that also I talked about, but mostly this is covering in the ITGC is covering about that. But as an internal auditor, you have to look at the system as a whole. Accessing and prioritizing relevant security risk. So it is very important that we give the right type of security, take care of and only give the right accesses. And wherever there is a security risk are likely to happen, where unauthorized access is happening, then we should be able to prevent that. Defining the data owners. So this is very, very important. Who is the data owner? So whether it is a CEO, CFO, quality head, whosoever is the data. If an internal auditor needs an access, so it is the right way of doing, though internal auditor may need the access and nobody should deny that access, but the right way of doing this access is that it should be done through defining the data owner, who has the authority to give the right to you. So unless and unless, so generally if I need an access to a financial system, it should be the CFO, and we should go through the right process and they should give you the access. And in any case, because because sometimes you may observe that, he's not keen to give you this data, then you should take it up with the CEO and get this. But you have to follow the right process. So every data, there has to be an owner who has to be. So for example, payroll, the data may be owned by the HR person, and CFO may be the data for the financial data. Classifying data into this one, what is confidential data, what is public data, what is restricted data, and all these things are very important. Selecting and implementing the security tools and techniques. So it is, for example, antivirus tool is a security tool, so it is that is not the only tool, but it is a common sense approach. There are multiple other tools available for the security professionals: endpoint security, firewall analysis. There are multiple other analysis, network analysis, and even the activities relating to the tools are also available to look at the operations people, also the performance of the machines, that is computer machines, the what is the input output. Sometimes you might have heard the complaint that the computer is very slow, network is slow. All these tools are available. As an auditor, you can always ask these tools available, and the data logs available, the incident reports available, and the solutions available for that. So I am giving you some of the ideas, what are the type of questions you should ask when you meet you do the ITGCC. The next one is business continuity planning. Business continuity is much beyond the IT continuity. IT continuity may be possible with the moment we have a disaster recovery in place, but business continuity major part is the IT continuity, which is the disaster site is activated depending upon the type of incident what has happened. At the same time, it is the meaning of business continuity planning is that if you are a delivery company like the Gati, which is my company where I do the audit. So we need to make a business continuity even how my physical delivery will happen. That is a cargo which is one of your customer may need it. How I will do this, in the event of these things. So it is not necessary that we may be able to do it. The planning has to be in such a way that we are able to make these things. If the entire area is affected by a flood or a earthquake, then even the concerned factories also may not be functioning. So in that case, you may also be may not be able to execute all the business continuity activity what you are talking about. So it is much beyond IT, but as part of the IT GCC, as an internal auditor, you should look at the continuity planning for the IT related side. But as an internal auditor beyond the IT GCC, you have to look at the entire BCP activity. And this is also part of the governance. This is part of the ESG when we are talking about the G stands for the governance. So developing an entity-wide plan to maintain and restore business operations in the event of disaster at a level within a time frame that is acceptable to the management. So the time frame is very, very important. So I talked about the stock exchange example, so they cannot have a lag of even 1 second, whereas many other businesses, you can always have a lag of say 24 hours, 48 hours. The cost at which the BCP is planned is also according to that. So if you cannot permit even zero the blackouts, then the planning, the expenditure incurred, the infrastructure required is also according to that. So the next ITGCC control is application system implementation and maintenance. So application system, I gave you the example of SAP. So this is something as an example. So application nowadays, most of the time we are getting the applications off the shelf, and at the same time many applications are coming on cloud. So there is when I did the CISA, when I came to the information security area, at that time the application system development was much more. But nowadays this application system development is, at least the companies like us, it is all outsourced. It may be done by TCS and Infosys and Wipro and that sort of companies, but not generally done. But in the past, when the information technology, and this may be the case even in many of your companies, they continue to maintain the application system development is done in-house. And in that case, then you have to do this selecting and developing, implementing and maintaining a application system, the right way of doing these things. And even when you are doing if you are buying a cloud-based solutions, then application system, some of these things may not be relevant at that particular application. The ITGCC may not be relevant, like application system implementation and maintenance, but many other things will be continue to be relevant. Information security is relevant even when you are having cloud applications. Business continuity is relevant even when you have got cloud applications, or even if it is outsourced to the companies like TCS and everybody. So I am still continuing the general computer controls. The database implementation support is the next one. So this is where, again, if you are on a cloud application, this may not be applicable to you, but many of the databases still continue to be maintained in-house. And so in that case, managing the data architecture, the maintenance in terms of defining and maintaining the structure of master file data, transaction data, and organization data. So this is slightly technical. I am not taking you more in detail in this particular area. So at the same time, what you need to be understanding in this one is that wherever access are given to database administrators access, the database maintenance upkeep people, it may be generally outsourced people. You should be very clear that what type of access is given and how it is monitored. Softwares are available for this. And afterward also how the sign off happens by the DBA when the access is given to the database maintenance activity. So maintaining the database management system, it is the same part of the operations where they have to maintain these things. The next point which I wanted to talk about ITGC is about the network support. So network is slightly again technical. I will always expect, I'll give you some sort of this one. Again, I always have taken the help of a technology side person that is coming from the computer background and engineering background to do this particular activity, because as a chartered accountant who are process experts, because most of the other activities you are able to do it, from experience, not necessary that you have studied this particular aspect, but network is slightly more challenging from our point of view. The other areas you will be able to do it once you get the exposure and experience in that. So designing, installing and operating networks and communication software, including computer networks, voice and phone system, video transmission and protocol. So you may have to take a technical expertise on this one. So this includes defining the structure and interrelationship between the components of the network, configuring physical locations of files and equipment, and planning of operating capacity. So I was giving you the operating capacity only when the stock exchange example of, when you have got across the country, the people are accessing through the network, and the capacity has to be designed in such a way that it is still working. The millions of transactions are done in per second, and capabilities and flexibility, all these things are part of this activity. Flexibility is talking about the example of the income tax department. The last day there's a lot of rush happens, so you don't have to create the systems 365 days, but they, from the experience, they should know that, and that is where the capabilities and flexibilities are created according to that. I am moving forward because in the interest of time, it is I would like to complete another 15-20 minutes, and so that we have enough time for the question and answer. Please continue to, I still believe that you are able to understand a lot of these things, not necessarily everything. Some of them are a little bit of technology areas. If I can understand, all of you can understand. It is a question of how much time and effort you are willing to put for this. System software support, selecting the system. I have given you the example of the database software, the telecom software, the Windows as an example, which I told you, the computer, the servers, and also these are the system software. These is not application software. So this is where you have to check these things, and this is the foundation on which our applications are sitting. So unless and until you do the basic checks of the operating system, the controls are happening through this. So generally, any person who would like to intrude into your computer system, they come through the network, then they come to the operating system, then they come to the application system. So that's where, so it is very important that all these things you do as part of the ITGCC. So I will read out these things. Selecting, implementing and maintaining necessary system software, including parameters that configure the controls of software, implementing and monitoring system software changes, including vendor upgrades. So it is very, very important that these softwares, when it comes, they comes at that particular moment, whatever updates are available. But subsequently in a Windows, every day they release a new software, the new security patches. And it is important that these things are tested by the computer operating people, operations team. They will find out what is relevant for their company or not relevant for their company. They document it. Afterward, they apply it on a test environment, that is development environment. And once it is tested, then subsequently they do for the production environment. So you have to understand how these things should be done. And even if they don't, one of the security patch is not relevant for them, they should document that, and you should be able to look as an auditor, ITGCC auditor, you should be able to look at this documentation. And whatever is, so you should, for example, how do you check this? Suppose, for example, in the Windows. So from Windows site, you will be able to, Windows Server I am talking about. Windows Server, you will be able to know what are the patches they have released after the date of the release of this particular software. And from that day, if there are, say, for a simple example, sir, last year and between this year, there are 10 patches have been released. Your operating system should be, the operations people should be able to tell, okay, there are 10 patches which is released. I have applied 9 patches because 9 are relevant for me. 10th one is not relevant for me. And this is the process which I have followed. So first they will apply it on they will study the patches, relevant or not relevant, document it if it is not relevant, and then close the chapter, and they take the sign off again, maker checker and everything. Wherever it is relevant, they will do they apply it on a development environment or a test environment. After the testing is done, it is documented that acceptance test is done, and finally they apply to the production environment. So all these will be documented in whichever way it is. Many tools are available. These are all automated tools, but sign off is manual, and that is very, very important. Hardware support, again, it may be as simple as your PC, or it may be a server, or it may be any other tool which is any other server, because many of these things like your telecom software, it may be in the form of a combination of hardware and software. So all these things are part of that. So these are the things which I would like to. Okay, I think application maintenance I have covered earlier, so I am not covering here. Again, basically this I have tried to describe here. Controls over the development methodology, which includes system design and implementation, outlining specific phases, documentation requirement, approval checkpoints, and control. These are all much more larger. This one, so this application development itself may need 1 or 2 days of this one. So, like as an IT GCC, you can at least look at this documentation. What is the process being followed? So now I am just giving you some more flavor relating to the networks. This is slightly technical, but I'm trying to give you a flavor in the sense that what is the expectation and what is the likely risk. So look at the general controls, what is expectation and what is the risk if that is not done properly. So the first one is the new network and communication software and modifications to network and communication software are tested in accordance with the test plans that include as appropriate system and unit testing, interface testing, parallel testing, capacity testing, and user acceptance testing. The expectation of general computer control is what I read to you. And what is the risk? Lack of testing methodology. So this may be just one example, and this is more to do with the technical guys who has to do this particular activity. I am trying to give a flavor, and the same thing will happen in any other areas which you can do it. So the whole idea of giving you a flavor on this one. So on the intrusion, the interesting area of cyber attack, intrusion detection systems are implemented appropriately to monitor and report unauthorized network activity. Logs are reviewed periodically to proactively identify any unauthorized activity. So it is a everyday activity. In general, what happens? Intrusion detection don't happen every day-to-day basis. So every day somebody will, they may not even, the first day that concerned person will do it. Then there may be a plan like cost reduction. The IT department has to cut down, say 20% of the people. So over a period of time, what happened is nobody looks at it because, and even if it is looked at it, it is like, to give you an example, it is like a housing society where the security guard is posted. He gives permission to everybody else, most of the people, anybody who comes to your place. This I am talking about 90% of the security guards. At the same time, 5 or 10% may be there who may be really doing the good work. So this becomes a formality. There is no alert in the system. And on the day on which the intrusion happens, nobody looks at this particular activity and the whole purpose is defeated. That is where, as an internal auditor, you have to see, is there a proper process in place? Is there a sign off in place? And is there any other activity which is not, it is going undetected? Routers are securely configured consistent with the management intention. Again, this is an area where, because of the security, this is another area where it will be unreliable communication. Communications are monitored by management to ensure successful and timely completion, including a review and resolution of any exceptions. So unreliable communication, this will be very critical when you are on the 30th of July for income tax department or 3 to 3:30. Rather, it is for the stock exchange, it is from 9 a.m. And 9 a.m. onwards, it is always important. So this I was just giving you a flavor. I may be running fast a little bit more in the sense that I would like to give this one. At the same time, if you have any questions, feel free to ask that question. I can come back to that particular slides. So this just to give you a flavor of these things, how when you are talking about computer system, you will be able to understand it, that there is a network that is, this is between the communications, between the two offices or two factories, and within the office also there may be a network, but the both has two different levels of security and both level of different activities relating to that. Then there are operating system, then database and application services, then there are applications, And then organization processes, what we call it as access management, who has to give what access and everything, data ownership and other things. So the top one is a control process, what is to be done. All other things which what you see that this one. So you need to distinguish between these things, because many of I had a difficulty of understanding in 2002, though I passed the CISA and DISA, I did not know so much in detail that, you know, these are the various components of the application, I mean, the computer information system. And so for the database and application, the test results will be something like this, you know, when you do it. So earlier I showed you something, what should be the way of checking the network. So default passwords, you know, this is common. The vendor has given the default password that is retained as it is. So anybody can access the database, because most of the attackers, they already know about these things. Query tools allow disclosure and modifications of sensitive data. So the one of the expectations is that the data maintenance people should not be looking at the data. They should be only do the maintenance activity. They should not have any access to the data. So if that is that they started looking at the data, it may be as sensitive as a payroll data of a particular person, which they should not be knowing. So change management is again another activity. You will find that this proper planning is not in place. Operating systems, you know, unnecessary services on servers, you know, like one server can always speak on the other server, and hosts allow the modification system configuration affecting availability and stability, access to sensitive folders like libraries and files and everything. Again, it is all open, you know, to multiple people. So on need to know basis, the data, it has not been given. So network, I told you that the biggest challenge, external and internal access to resources through the network connectivity. So just to give you how generally this test work, the test results will be coming when doing this particular IT GCC, I have given you on the database application. I told you that it is a very different level where it may, that itself will take a separate session for the application control testing. So sometimes you may also find that the particular companies, you know, they have got multiple locations, and some of these companies might have been coming to your way because of the acquisitions. So you will have multiple IT environment. So even when you are doing IT GCC, you have to do, if there are multiple data center environment, you have to do multiple places, you have to do it, multiple business units. So sometimes you have to understand that how the data resides, and multiple products may be there, it may be sitting in multiple environments. For example, in the IT application side of it, we have multiple products and we don't have a common application, and we have different applications for that. And when we have acquired Gati has a separate IT environment. So at the group level, when I do it, you know, I have to do Gati as a separate environment, All Cargo as a separate environment. So and within the business unit, you know, we have different products like CFS and you know, the what you call equipment rentals, both have different applications. And CFS, we have different multiple, because the application itself is hosted at the location it used to be. We have changed the system at this point in time. So that also needs a separate IT environment. So ITGC has to be done for each location. Sorry. Application that differ by system by locations, which I told you the example of the CFS which we operate. And here the IT risk may be unique to particular locations. So you have to be careful about the specific locations may have a specific this one, because of some of the people, because there is a lot of people dependency, and this may be a reason for, you know, that location specific issue relating to that. I believe that, you know, there is more or less this other considerations, you know, service organization. So I don't know how many of you may know about it. You know, many of these things which we call it as, this is more to do with the internal audit, not necessarily as part of the IT GCC. So if a company is outsourced many activities, for example, payroll is generally outsourced. So we always get a service organization's audit report. So basically there is a standards that is called Statement on Standards of Attestation and Engagement. This is US CPA standards. So if you are doing so for example, we have outsourced our payroll to a company, and they give us a SSAE 18 report. So that report is very, very important from internal audit point of view, because this is also as part of the activity which I was doing as part of the IT GCC. And this I was heading globally, this particular company where I was working earlier. That is one of the big four where I was doing this. So this report will give you the information, how the information is received from the company where the user data is given to the payroll processing company, and what are the controls in place for that particular company. The entire purpose of service organization was just to ensure that the company, every internal auditor or every statutory auditor cannot go, and this is also important for even if you are a statutory auditor, go to the payroll outsourcing agency and do an audit, then it becomes a big problem for them. So in order to get rid of that problem, they do a service organization report, this is called SSAE 18 report, and there is something called type 2 report, that is the what report with the test of design and test of effectiveness, both are available, and that is where we will be we need to look at these reports, and then you decide whether this is sufficient for you to give the assurance in whether it is internal audit assurance or whether it is statutory audit assurance. This is an additional control. It is not part of the IT GCC, but this is as a statutory auditor, internal auditor, it is very, very important. I suppose, I am not going through this one because it will eat away a lot of my time. So this is a basic course of framework where when we do the control activity of the what you call as part of the information technology general computer control, the COSO framework, which has 5 components: the control environment, control activities, risk assessment, information and communication, and monitoring. So these are the activities which are all available in anywhere. You don't have to be too much worried about this one. So I am not getting into in the interest of time, because these are some of the slides which I kept separately so that I don't want to do this one. So I want to give more time for the question answers. I am sure that you may have a lot of questions. Either you might not have understood something, and if you are not understood anything, then probably you may not also have any questions. And we may have more and more sessions, and there can be multiple people in this area. But I am sure that you should be able to. Let me try to go to the next slide. I don't know. There is an issue. Yes. And this is again for your just guidance. These are the multiple IT control frameworks available. Again, you can Google and get these things: IT control guidelines, COBIT. So ISACA, the CISA, it stands for the COBIT. They are the ASCP, SICA guidelines are available. ISO 27000 is available. ITIL guidelines and capability maturity model. So these are the different guidelines, and more or less all these things. There can be some difference one and with the other. But all these things are IT GCC is common with any of these things you are doing. So with this, I would like to.
Weighted average
May I request?
For 84 lakhs for in our gain or
may I request Saraswat ji to go on mute, please? So with this, I have concluded, my presentations. I would like to answer, questions and answers, if any. I don't know whether you are completely at loss because of some of the terminology which I have used. So, but I think I have done. I can understand a lot of these things, and there is no difficulty for anyone to understand. It's a question of familiarity. Nobody has to be worried about this. So please, I hand it over to the organizers for any question and answers.
Sikandar, can you just check?
Yes, sir.
Questions?
I think there are 2 questions. The question number 1 is by Jinesh Shah, sir. And the question is, how to ensure controls are effective on cloud like AWS, Google, Azure? What controls to be checked?
Very good question. Thank you very much for asking this question. So let us take any cloud applications, or if it is a Azure cloud, finally the database is owned by us. This is the way in which I am, because there are 2 ways of doing this. So one is like there are many cloud hosted solution available to you directly from the cloud, where database is owned by that data is owned by us, but the basic database maintenance activity is done by the person who has given the service application. Similarly, they are also responsible for the application maintenance and everything. The second category is that we take a space from the Azure, which is the Amazon one. So when we are taking the space, then the database maintenance activity is generally done by them. But all the activities, so when they are giving these activities, the SLAs, the vendor one of the activities about the managing the vendor relationship. So the SLAs are mentioned very clearly in both the cases, and it is their responsibility as well as the database network and everything. But our area of network, our area of application access, who has to given what role and that sort of thing, it is always done by us. So if I want to give you an example that a financial application which is hosted on a cloud, and application is is given to us only by a cloud service provider. For example, I don't know SAP is giving that sort of thing, but I am giving it as an example like SAP. Okay, when they have given that sort of solutions, the application management is done by them. Okay, database is also managed by them. Data is owned by us. Now, network is both sides. The cloud security service provider also will have network, and our side also will have network. So both our area we have to be very clear, and the remaining the areas we have to put all these things, the responsibility and the SLA levels and indemnification, wherever things go, they don't go wrong. So the company like SAP and all, they all have the Assure and all, lot of good this one. But I can tell you the example of so many of the housing societies nowadays, there are small applications. They don't have the reputation like Infosys, SAP, or TCS or something. So it is very difficult for us that do they have the right way of, because it is all given on the cloud, and when they give you on a cloud, it is very difficult for us to trust whether they are giving the right solutions and everything. So that sort of times, and they may not have a capability even for giving an indemnification to us. So I will always recommend in such cases, because I have come to know at least some of the societies, and including my society where I am residing. So they have gone for a cloud, and they are all very small time players. They have a security for that. It may be very difficult for us to comment, and they may not have a SSAE report. So cloud, one is that you should get a SSAE report. It will give you this one, and you should have a strong SLA where the roles and responsibilities and are properly defined, and adherence of these things are monitored on a regular basis. I hope that this gives you some this one. But cloud security itself is a big chapter. Yeah, rather I don't say big chapter. It may be a big activity itself to be taken, and I am also not an expert on this. I can only talk about the very basic level of this. Thank you very much for asking this question.
And the next question is by CA Ankit Sangvi, and the question is, what about risk on cloud servers and its user control?
So user control is completely with you. There is nothing to be, there may not be anything. So this is, so from user point of view, it is anything, it is as good as you are giving the server sitting in your premises. So there is nothing called, there is no difference between a cloud solution as well as on the this one. So this I am talking about the application level. And cloud server, if it is a public cloud that is operated by Azure or something, you will not get an access because it is always managed by them. But if it is a private cloud, what you are going to do, then again it is a different. But this is as good as your server. Then your computer people are only managing. So many of the private cloud, for example, JSW or the All Cargo, we will always have a private cloud. But at the group level, we would like to have everything consolidated under the cloud management. But for us, it is a internal cloud. So there will not be any. So that will be managed like any other access environment. But if it is like Azure, I mean, any application which is completely outsourced, public cloud, we may not get even an access. I hope I have answered the question. So still, if there are any sub questions on that, you can always ask.
That's it from for questions and answers.
So thank you very much. I hope it has not gone above the and nobody has understood anything. And we can always, you should also listen to many more speakers, and then you will have a little bit more understanding. If it is a first session, I thought that I have taken a very basic level, but still probably sometimes it becomes a bit difficult.
No, thank you very much, Mr. Mukundan. It was a very detailed presentation on the topic which was allotted to you. Thanks a lot for sparing your valuable time. I'll now request Sikandar Yadav to propose a well-deserved vote of thanks to you.
Thank you, sir. I, on behalf of BCSC, extend a hearty vote of thanks to today's speaker, CA KV Mukundan, sir. Sir has presented a topic in a very practical manner. He had covered the topic in depth. He has explained ICI guidance note on CARO 2020, activities IT system, importance of IT, common problems for IT organization, general computer controls, locations, and IT considerations. Sir has tried to cover the topic by sharing charts, examples, and practical scenarios. And he has also answered the questions asked by the members. Thank you, sir. Now I request the members for a virtual applause.
There are two participants raise their hand. If there are questions, I can still answer.
Yes.
Is there any question?
No, sir. They have not asked the question.
Sikandar, you can allow them to talk if they want.
Okay. Okay. Let me check.
Because in webinar mode, we may not be allowed to them to talk. No?
Yeah.
Two participants have raised their hands. Who are those?
Once you take the cursor to their name, no, it will give you an option to allow to talk.
I'm not able to see who are the participants.
There is no raise hand.
Yeah, now they have raised their hands.
So when any one of you are asking questions, it is not only help me, it will help many other participants also to clarify. Some of them might not be,
Mr. Rajesh Trivedi.
Rajesh Trivedi, I am allowed. Yes, he has been allowed.
You have to unmute Rajesh.
Yeah, Mr. Rajesh, you have to unmute, please.
Rajesh, you have to unmute. You are not yet unmuted yours. Yes, go ahead. I'm not able to hear you, Rajesh.
I think he has raised hand by mistake.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Mr. Praveen Jain is there. I'm allowing him to talk.
Okay. Yes, Praveen, please unmute and you can speak.
Mr. Praveen? No. It seems by mistake.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is that still there are 193 participants. So
yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
That is very.
Thanks a lot. Sikandar, please go ahead with concluding. So, sir,
So there is a question which has come. One more question. Is there a set of control checklists available? So let me tell you that this is not something which can be done on the control checklist, because every environment, IT environment will be different, and it also technology also undergo changes. So checklist may be available, but it will not help you. Even in Google, if you go, you will find a lot of checklists, but that may not help you. I don't recommend anyone to go with a checklist. You have to understand the concept, and you have to experience by working with someone, because I can tell you the pain which underwent 2 years, 2002 to 2004. I did not know what is the IT general computer control. And after working with this one, but I had passed both this CISA and DISA. I am sharing my experience, and only after 2005, when I joined one of the big four and I started working in this particular area, then I started understanding. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. So we are just concluding this webinar, and we'll see you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.